Welcome to the Wizard of Radical Self-Respect. My name is Jared Mello, and I'm the shepherd of Black Sheep. I go to this screen first here. Today, we got breaking news that there's an ex-husband of Monique Tepe arrested for the murder of her husband and herself in Ohio. But the first video we're going to watch is Brian Etton's video from yesterday that builds up to this breaking news today, which I think is pretty interesting. But let's jump right into this here. We'll wait for people to come in here too.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. I really appreciate it. Please click to subscribe. In this episode, I am continuing to dig into the very mysterious murders of Spencer Tepe and his wife, Monique Tepe. Spencer Tepe is a dentist in Ohio. He lived in Columbus, Ohio. His dental office was about an hour and a half or so away from Columbus. And Spencer and his wife, Monique, were found dead, murdered inside their home. It's now been almost 2 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks. It was last Tuesday. And there's just not been a lot of information ever since. Initially, the thought was maybe police had a ton of information behind the scenes and just weren't releasing it. But as the days go on, it appears that they may still really be hitting a lot of dead ends here. And one of the reasons I say that is because they've now released this surveillance video. And I just want to show it again before I get into some of the new elements of the episode.
So again, when you listen to what happened today, what happened was there was a car that was around the scene of the crime during the same time. They think it happened between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. The children were unharmed, thankfully. And then the car went to Illinois, and that's where they apprehended the ex-husband, right? And that's how it happened. And that is most likely the ex-husband right there.
I think it's important that people see it. This is video taken from a Nest camera released by Columbus Police, and they say that the murders happened sometime between 2 and 5 a.m. on December 30th. And in the video, you can see there is a man walking by with a hoodie, hands in pockets, kind of a very significant sort of unique way of walking, and he's got his head down so you can't really see it. But they're calling this person a person of interest and asking anyone with any information about who this person could be to please call the Columbus Police. So that's really interesting that video is new. Spencer Tepe was shot multiple times, we are told, and his wife Monique was shot one time in the chest. And there were shell casings found at the scene. Their two small children were alive and were found inside the home alive. And later in the episode, because this is kind of already been out there for a while, so I'll kind of put it later in the episode, but there are 911 calls. The reason it appears police found out about all of this is because a number of Spencer Tepe's co-workers had called 911 and were concerned that he hadn't shown up to work. It was very unlike him not to show up, and they called 911 and the police went out and actually one of the co-workers heard the kids crying inside, then actually saw Spencer Tepe down on the ground and saw blood. So then they went inside and realized that this was a murder. Something else new, and I'm going to go through this with my guest, Maureen O'Connell, who is a retired FBI agent, and see what she thinks about this.
And Maureen is Danielle's favorite. She's the former FBI agent. She was talking to Brian just the other day about seeing Nick Reiner in court. She's had good thoughts about a lot of different cases, so I really appreciate her perspective, and I'll probably try to get her on the channel.
There are now additional 911 calls that have been released, and these are from April 15th. So these are from months ago, beginning of last year, 2:45 a.m. According to police, these calls are from the same address as the Tepe's address. And you can hear, I'm going to play this for you, but you hear a woman in the call describing what appears to be a domestic dispute. Now, important to note that Monique Tepe's family says 100% this is not Monique Tepe. So the question of who this person is, this woman is who called from the same address, what does this have to do with anything? Again, I'm going to get into that in a couple of minutes with my guest, but I want to play you this call.
Hello?
Hi, this is 911. We just got a hang-up call. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're crying. Do you need police, paramedics, or anything?
No, I'm okay. I promise. I'm just emotional. I'm okay. I don't need no.
This is very interesting. So they're saying this call came from their address, but Monique's family says it's definitely not her. Which means, who could it be? A babysitter?
Well, can I ask what had you call 911 in the first place? Like, were you having an argument with
Me and my
somebody?
man got into it, but I'm okay. I promise.
Did anything ever get physical?
No.
You guys were just arguing, nobody hit each other?
Yes.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I have the information here. I can go ahead and tell the officers to cancel heading over to your address there at 1411 North 4th Street.
Yes.
If anything changes, call us back.
Okay.
All right,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you.
I'm joined now by Maureen O'Connell, retired FBI agent. Good to see you as always.
Yep.
We're in the car because I'm in Los Angeles.
I know.
It's kind of weird we're in the car.
And you know, if you're not in the car, you're out walking on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, let's just sit down, huh?
Yeah, you were just joking. How do you not fall down all the
I
time?
know.
But seriously, with this Ohio dentist case, I mean, it's now been, almost 2 weeks since this happened. At first, I thought maybe police knew something and just weren't letting on. But then they released video, and it seems like, do you think they have any idea?
Well, I heard that some of the people were saying, hey, it's 2 a.m. Maybe someone's just walking home from a bar. Yeah, it could be. But if that's the only person they see on any surveillance video that fits in the time frame of when these people were murdered, then yeah, it's someone you definitely have to figure out who it is and talk to him.
What stood out to you in that surveillance video?
Just the way he walked, his left leg, it looked, it sounds crazy, but it looked like he either rode horses a lot in his life or like busted Broncos or something. He just had that walk, like that cowboy kind of walk.
Yeah.
With his left knee. And maybe he has something wrong with his knee and it kind of protrudes out a little bit on that left leg.
He had his head down, it looked like, I think it was a hoodie.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, like, if sometimes when I'm cold, I'll do that.
Yeah. A lot of people do it when they're cold, but they also do it to evade detection from cameras. So it could have been both or just one or the other.
What was your sense?
Both.
Both, cold and evading. Yeah.
Because it was very cold that night. It's just the air is blowing my hair.
Oh, it's cold in here too at the same time. Yeah. Sorry. The 911 call. There's the new 911 call from previously from the house.
Doesn't sound like.
What do you think that?
Was someone staying at her house? Did she let one of her friends stay at the house and this situation happened? It just doesn't sound like her, but who knows? What do you think?
I think my first thought was it was like a mistake. Like, did they provide the wrong call from a different house or something,
Those, if it's a hard line, you're not going to make a mistake. A hard line meaning one of those, wired telephone.
But who has those anymore?
A lot of people are getting them now for emergencies.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if you dial 911 from a hard line, they know that this is it. They know exactly where it's coming from. If it's off her phone.
So to note, this video is from yesterday. This video is before the arrest of the ex-husband today. After this video, we're going to go to a Law and Crime Network video. His name is Chris Stewart. And then we're going to see all of the new up-to-date things. And there's another video to go after that. So this video is just the backdrop of what happened today.
There is a possibility that it could be
right. She's in the house next door or something.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Because she said my man or something. It just, I don't know. It was weird. Like if Spencer Tepe's married to Monique and they have the kid. It's just hard to imagine there was another woman in the house.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just something about it doesn't add up to me.
That was strange. Now, I did notice when I was looking at the footage initially, it looks like they have a keypad on their front door.
Yeah.
And you and I both talked about there not being any sign of
Forced entry
or anything. So I wonder who they gave that, who they gave the entry code to, because I have a company where we do security assessments and all this stuff, and I always tell people, make sure you give your caretaker or whoever's coming in and out of the house their own specific code, so you know when they're coming and when they're going. And I'm just wondering if it's someone that she allows in the house on a regular basis, either a friend or someone that works there, or does, maybe it's the girl that does her hair that knew she was going to be out of town that week.
Yeah.
And just went over with her man to have some fun, and everything went sideways,
Right.
I mean, when you have a keypad like that, it's a lot easier for people to gain access, and people really need to be careful about that.
And the brother-in-law has said that's definitely not Monique's voice.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely not her. So it's just kind of a weird little piece to this. But what do you think? I mean, it's like, again, it's been almost 2 weeks. Like, what do you think happened? Do you have any idea? The statistics show that these things don't normally happen randomly, right? I mean,
right. And it doesn't appear that anything was stolen. And he took, 5 rounds?
I just know it was multiple
rounds, and she took 1 round to the chest. There could be 2 reasons for that. One, with regard to the guy, he's going to be stronger. He looked fit. Whoever went in there really wanted to just make sure that that he wouldn't be a threat to whoever the offender was, whoever the shooter was. But that doesn't really hold a lot of water. They shot the wife in the chest, so she's dead. And then they shot him a number of times, which would lead many people to believe that he was the actual target. But why was he the target? We don't know. A lot of that is going to be answered by social media, encrypted apps. Was he living a secret life of some sort? Who knows? I mean, what do you
coworkers.
Think? Yeah.
I mean, at first I'm like, gosh, maybe this is some kind of random thing. But the more you think about it, it just doesn't really happen very much, especially if nothing was stolen at the house.
And the kids were left alive.
Right. And what does that mean, if the kids were left alive?
Right. So if it was someone that just went in there to kill because I want to kill and I get off on killing, and a lot of people do get off on killing. If that's the thing, then those little innocent angels wouldn't be here right now,
Right.
So we don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know, but honestly, the social media, all of his devices, all his whole digital footprint, and they're digging into that right now, trying to find stuff, and I'm sure they're coming up with something. Who knows? But by all accounts, they were just lovely, very nice, got along great, worked very hard. He was a guy that everyone could depend on.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
They just had their anniversary. I mean, it's a beautiful couple.
Right.
You think about those kids being there. The other thing that I thought about with this is I started thinking about, all those coworkers were calling 911 like an hour after he didn't show up for work. And I was just thinking, like, if I didn't show up for work, because I'm pretty reliable, like, what would happen? I don't know that my coworkers would call 911 within an hour. I think they would be hunting me down.
Right.
But
and again, within 1 hour might be pushing it a little bit. But here's the thing. If it's really against his character to be late, and maybe he runs the office there and he's not there and people are wondering what the heck's going on, they call his wife and his wife, Monique, doesn't answer the phone. All right, I can understand them getting a little concerned. Is it a little quick? Maybe, but if it's really that out of character, I'm not sure. I can see them doing it.
That's quick to.
It is. Well, they were close enough. The reason I think it happened is because they were close enough to call his wife's phone, and she didn't answer either. And they probably knew they were both in town.
Right.
He probably had patients lined up all that morning, and he was the guy that was always there early. And if you had a half-hour appointment, you were done. at 28 minutes. And, you know, he was that punctual with his clients or with his patients. And then when they couldn't get in touch with the wife, I don't know. I mean, I just got called to do a welfare check on this lady up the street by this elderly lady that I, you know, good friend of mine. And so, you know, I ran up there and did it and looked in the windows and everything and knocked on the door, and finally she was there. But she was very sick, ended up in the hospital. But anyhow, there's a lot of first responders. We get called to go to people's houses, but people don't, I mean, calling 911, it would have to be, I think you hit on something, because it would have to be something more than that, unless he's that reliable. How far did he work? How far did he live from home?
Far. I want to say like an hour and a half. Well, he worked. It was a commute. He had a big commute, which is kind of interesting from what I've seen. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know why that element I started to think about, because I was like, gosh, if I didn't show up like for a live shot for work, which would be totally out of the ordinary, within an hour would my coworkers call 911?
Well, maybe if your coworkers worked with you day in and day out,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, 8-10 hours a day, and then they were on the phone with you when you're on your commuting in, commuting out, and they knew everything about you.
Right.
Maybe.
Or maybe they knew. I wonder if they know something else too. Like, was there something in his life that he was worried about or something?
Right.
That they knew. I guess maybe they would have said that in the call.
Not always, no, because they weren't like that. His business partner didn't even say, I'm a dentist, he's a dentist, we own a practice, he's the you know, he just said, oh, he's really reliable at work. He didn't even say what the work was.
And he said, I'm in Florida.
Yeah. So, I mean, no, they didn't cough up a lot of information in the call that they could have, but you're careful when you call 911. You're like, you know, you're being recorded. You want to make sure, you know.
A lot of people were getting on the 911 operator because she was kind of like rude a couple times, because people kept calling and she was getting kind of frustrated. But I guess most of these, I was trying to put myself in her shoes. Most of these wellness checks, they probably get 1 million of those a day. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, you know.
And if you've ever worked dispatch, oh my God. People call because they want to ride to the hospital at 3 a.m.
Right, you get a lot of.
They don't even care. You can't believe why people dial 911. If you're reason.
So Maureen here, giving the other side of the coin, right? So people were being pretty hard on the operators. Maureen saying, well, they do have to deal with a lot of BS, and they do have to deal with a lot of people that aren't really in an emergency and are abusing the 911 service. That's true too, right? So both, it's something to think about. But of course, as the 911 operator, you want to be serious about every call.
Person, you say, wow, calling 911, you should get more respect from that. But what you might not realize is 96% of the calls are absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
And time wasters. So it's an exercise in futility to a certain extent, punctuated with life and death situations. So you have to, you know, it's a process. They burn out pretty easily.
You know, you always hear like, what is it? The first 48 hours are most important, and something like that in an investigation. Like, should we be worried this is just not going to get solved? Like, do you think this is going to be a real whodunit?
Well, it already is a whodunit. You're asking if it's going to become a cold case.
Yeah.
I really hope not. I hope they're going to be able to find things out. You know, the fact that he lives an hour and a half from home in Ohio.
Yeah.
That to me is odd. I don't know why, but of all the things I've learned about this case, that's the strangest thing to me.
That he commuted so far to work.
Yes.
Yeah, I forget the exact distance, but I saw a tweet about it, which kind of stood out to me too. But I guess, you know, maybe that's where they need dentists in that area, you know.
Well, the thing about Ohio is it's relatively affordable considering the rest of the country. And they moved to a neighborhood which is up and coming, but it's surrounded by a bad neighborhood.
Right.
And that's, you know, I don't know. I don't understand that. Why you would move there. I could understand if the neighborhood they moved into where they had their house was 10 blocks from his office, then you understand.
Right.
But an hour and a half. I just think that
Maybe they just want.
They probably had a deal on a home or something in that place. Oh yeah, we can get this nice home. Yeah, it's further away, but it gives us other things that we want. And as we learn with the ex-husband arrest here, it has nothing really to do with the poor neighborhood close to them.
Wanted to live in Columbus. 75 miles is what it's being reported that, you know, he drove from work home. Why are you so like stuck on that? Like, what? I guess it is interesting.
It is interesting, and it's a little bit weird. I'll tell you why. If he was driving 75 miles so he could live on the beach with his kids, that's one thing. But to live in a even though it's a beautiful house and it seems to be a pretty block, but to live in an area that's surrounded by an area that's not really safe when you have tiny kids, I don't know. It's just not making, it's not connecting.
Something with that detail.
Something with it is gnawing at me, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's an interesting,
Now here's a question, a thought. Maybe it's to get away from the ex-husband. Maybe that's a part of it. And maybe the ex-husband's close to the workplace and they want to be further away from the workplace, because let's face it, if the ex-husband is the one that did this, and it's only allegedly right now, and is until proven guilty, they say, but he did this, which leads me to believe he very likely could have been abusive during their relationship, and there was coercive control, maybe narcissistic abuse, something. And what do we know about people like that? Well, they will stalk and they will become furious when they lose control. And it seems like it's very possible that's what happened in this case, that maybe he did become furious when they had the divorce. He lost control over her, and then he waited. And we don't know. We don't know how much he harassed her between the time they got divorced and this happened. We don't know. We don't know the answer to that question. But maybe Monique, this was happening, but she just didn't say anything. And she just said, oh, this is just my ex trying to harass me, and just didn't say much about it. Is that possible? Sure, that's possible. But that could maybe explain moving further away if that dude was around there and she knows he's a problem. That might explain it.
it's interesting.
What do you think?
I think that, I don't know. I mean, like I was telling you earlier, sometimes people in certain professions will get paid more to work in undesirable areas. Like I've got a pharmacist friend, you know, if you go work at a pharmacy in Alaska, you make more money than if you work in LA. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So maybe this was a good opportunity at kind of like a remote dental office or something versus being right in Columbus.
So we should probably look in and see what the deal was with where his office was.
Yeah. So that could be an explanation.
Family, being close to family could be an explanation.
Yeah, right. There could be, maybe they wanted to be in Columbus for that reason.
Like if her family was right there
Right.
and she wanted the kids raised around their cousins.
Right.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But yeah, there's something with the whole thing. I don't know. This is an intriguing one, I think, this case. It's so sad, first of all, but it's also, I don't know, there's a lot of them where you can kind of like figure it out in your head. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something.
In a case like this, generally speaking, you will normally think of an ex, right? Because who else would have the passion to do something like this? Who? Outside of some kind of insurance thing or inheritance thing where someone thinks, oh, they got something that we want, which, let's face it, also, it's a foolish thing to do. Oh, I'm going to off them to get the inheritance. What? I'm going to off them to get the insurance. What? Like, that's just not very bright. But the X thing makes sense. That it does make sense.
Something we don't know here.
Right.
So,
There's a lot of them you can figure out pretty quickly.
Yeah. Even you
Just-
can't figure this one out.
No, I can't figure this one out. Well, I don't have enough information.
Yeah, there's not much.
I
I
want-
wonder what police know. I wonder if there's
The police know a lot more than we do.
yeah. All right. Well, we'll
But
see on it.
sometimes getting in those encrypted apps is just impossible. And that's where a lot of the info lies.
Well, thank you, Maureen.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. As always, I really appreciate Maureen for meeting with me and kind of discussing the case. And there is just so much that we don't know, as she mentioned. And you have to hope that police know more behind the scenes. But they're certainly not releasing very much, and they haven't said whether or not they found that person of interest in the surveillance video. I want to play for you guys again, though, the 911 calls. These are from the coworkers and also the owner. So you hear the owner first, and then you'll hear the coworkers when they arrived at the house. And when I say the owner of the dental practice where Spencer Tepe worked.
The police, Tech 107.
Yes, I would like to ask for a...
So the ex-husband was married to Monique for 2 years. It's a very short marriage, only 2 years. Hot and fiery. What does that sound like? Probably someone that maybe had a mask on until the marriage. Guy has a mask on until the marriage. Then shortly after the marriage, mask comes off. So it lasts not very long. And then poof, this happens later. And again, and we're going to assume that for now, right? There could be other variables that we don't know yet. Who knows?
Wellness check on an individual at their home. Well, I'm currently in the state of Florida. I'm on vacation, but this individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family.
He didn't show up to work?
Correct.
Okay. Does he have medical problems or?
No, and he's been reliable, and we cannot get in touch with him, his wife, his family, anybody that lives in that house.
Okay. So
There's
you're
2
in
kids in the
Florida.
home. I'm in Florida. I own the business. I was informed by my employees that he was not at work, and he runs the office.
Did you receive information that he may have been involved in an accident or?
No, ma'am. I just know that he is he is always on time, and he would contact us if there was any issues whatsoever. And I just don't know how else to say this. We're very, very concerned because this is very out of character. And we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
And again, if this is the call that's made only after 1 hour, it's interesting. It's interesting to make it that quick, but at the same time, if it's that out of character, they're just going with their gut, it sounds like, especially since they can't get a hold of the wife too. They're just going with their gut.
Okay. We will send somebody over as soon as we have an officer available, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
Our boss did not report to work. We haven't been able to get a hold of him for 3 hours. We are on site and we can hear.
Okay, I just talked to somebody there.
Okay, I'm just making sure somebody called.
Yeah, I just got a call from somebody and sent it back up for dispatch.
Okay.
Are you there? Because you're not showing that you're at the
No,
location.
I'm en route there.
911, what's the location of your emergency? Okay, what's the emergency there? Police or medical?
Maybe both, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of doing the wellness.
We had a call out there. They knocked on the front door and back door multiple times and there was no answer.
Yeah, no answer. I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in.
So, Sarah, they said between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. is when they died. They were shot, multiple gunshot wounds to the dentist, only one to his wife. And it happened between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. They're not exactly sure.
At this point, I don't know if I need to break the door in or just get in the house or what. So.
Okay, were you out there when the police was out there?
I wasn't. I just got here about 5 minutes ago.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll send them back out to you.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye. We've got several calls on that. What's changed since the last person I talked to?
There's a body.
There's a body inside?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me get you on the line with the medic, okay? Stay on the line.
All right, honey, that's what's going on there.
There's a body. Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here, and he appears dead.
Okay.
There's blood. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood. I can't get closer to see more than that.
Okay, so you can tell he's obviously not breathing or anything.
Yeah.
Is it like kind of like cuddle, like, you know, does he look like?
It doesn't look cuddled. I can't lie.
Okay, all right, understand. Okay, and then when was the last time somebody spoke to him?
Like yesterday, I suppose.
Yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
How old is he?
37.
37. Is he like a drug user or anything like that?
No.
Okay. All right. Just because that's a really young age.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. All right. We're on our way.
You can just imagine what this has been like for the families of the victims of Spencer and Monique, especially since there are these young kids that are now orphans, essentially. And the whole thing is just awful to think about. On News Nation, we actually interviewed a man named Rob Misley, who is Spencer Tepe's brother-in-law. He's sort of been like the family spokesperson throughout this entire thing. He's the one who said for sure that first 911 call from April of last year was definitely not Monique. But I wanted to play for you some of what he has to say, because it's just, again, heartbreaking to think about what this.
That's a weird wrinkle in the story. So if that was not Monique, who could it have been? A babysitter? Something's weird with that. I don't know if it's even related to the ex-husband at all, but that's just a weird side wrinkle.
Family is going through. So listen to what he said when he was on News Nation.
Unfortunately, I know just as much as the next person. I was told by a reporter about 10 minutes before this got posted that it was released by the police department. And, when I first saw it, yeah, I do think, suspicious looking person there. It also very well could be, somebody walking home drunk from a bar. But it's evidence nonetheless that hasn't been released until now. And it's good that they're kind of.
So according to the thumbnail that I have here, you look at his face, it looks like it easily could be this body. I'm not guaranteeing it is, but it looks like it could be.
Progressing through this.
And this is right between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., which is the window they say they believe that the shootings happened. Rob, do you or your family members have any idea who might have been capable of doing this? Did your family have any enemies? Did Spencer and Monique have any enemies at all that are known?
Not that I can speak on or know of. I know that.
Not that I can speak on versus know of. To me, those are two different things. Not that I can speak on means I know of something, but I'm not really at liberty to say. And I don't want to make her look bad or him look bad after they're gone. But the other version is, no, that's a little bit different, right? I don't know. There might be more to this story than meets the eye here.
They've had this massive community around him that they were just so well liked and admired by everyone. You can see in this picture. That's kind of defines them. They were always smiling. They were always laughing. So it's really just unbelievable and shocking to all of us when we found out. I still, a week later, still doesn't feel real. I can't believe I'm here talking about this. So,
I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. What do you know about the little kids? Spencer and Mo had two little ones. I mean, I think one is 1 year old, the other one is 4. Do you have any idea what they saw, what they experienced in that home?
We do not. I know, they have met with some people to talk. It sounds like I can't really talk on any evidence, but we've had them with us for the past couple of days. They're with some other relatives at the moment. And they were just as, happy.
Zelda, thank you very much for this, Zelda. I really appreciate your support. You are the best.
Unfortunately, unaware as they ever could be, but they're in loving hands, and even more people are coming by their side.
So again, just tragic for this family. I'll continue to stay on this. Hopefully there'll be some development soon. Because again, it's kind of just felt like it's been at a dead end for the last week and a half or so. Hopefully police know more behind the scenes. But that's really the latest. I'll show you the surveillance video again, just because it seems like this is important to continue to show, because they are calling this person a person of interest who might know something, who could maybe lead to more information coming out. So I'll keep you guys posted if anything else develops. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel.
Again, that definitely looks like what could be the body type of the guy in the thumbnail. There we go. Breaking.
There's breaking news out of Columbus, Ohio. Charges filed in the murders of Spencer and Monique Tepe on the eve of their funerals. Monique Tepe's ex-husband is in custody for the murders. I have the details. Welcome to this breaking edition of Crime.
Wait a minute, this is not the right one. We don't want to play that one. No, maybe we do want to play that one. I lied.
Edition of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. The murders of Spencer Tepe and his
I was expecting Chris Stewart.
Beautiful wife, Monique Tepe, shattered their families. The parents of two young children, ages 1 and 4, were shot to death in their home in a downtown Columbus neighborhood in the middle of the night as those little children slept. It happened in the early morning hours of December 30th, police say between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. The story sent shockwaves across the state of Ohio and the country. A dentist and his stay-at-home wife murdered, likely in their sleep, found shot to death in their bedroom. Now, more than a week after the murders, Monique Tepe's ex-husband is in custody. Dr. Michael McKee is a vascular surgeon, and he was married to Monique for a short time in 2015, and they divorced using a private judge. But it's my understanding that Michael McKee didn't want to let go, despite the marriage lasting just a short time. The affidavit in support of the murder charges states, on December 30th, 2025 at 9:57 a.m., Columbus patrol officers were dispatched to on a check on the well-being of a Dr. Spencer Tepe, who had not shown up to work. Officers arrived and found Dr. Tepe and his wife, Monique Tepe, deceased inside, suffering from gunshot wounds. 2 minor children were found inside the home unharmed. Columbus Fire Medic number 7 responded and pronounced both victims deceased at 10:11 a.m. Columbus Police Homicide Unit Team 2 was advised, responded, and initiated an investigation. During the subsequent investigation, detectives were able to identify a suspect through neighborhood video surveillance. The suspect was tracked to a vehicle which arrived just prior to the homicides and left shortly after the homicides. Detectives were able.
And that's what I was reading before this too, is that that vehicle was tied. It was there right before the homicides and left right after. And that person is the person that got into that car.
Able to identify this vehicle further and link it to Michael McKee. Detectives located the vehicle in Rockford, Illinois, and found evidence of McKee in possession of the vehicle prior to and after the homicides. Now take a look at this surveillance video. Columbus police put this out earlier this week, asking for anybody who recognized the person in this video to call them. It's very likely that Columbus police believe the man walking down the street in an alleyway in the area of the Tepe home, that they believe that this is Michael McKee. Michael McKee right now is in custody in a jail in Rockford, Illinois. It's the Winnebago County Jail. He will have to be extradited here to Ohio to face these murder charges. It's an absolutely heartbreaking case. The young children of Monique and Spencer Tepe, they were crying when friends of the couple were at the home. They arrived to check on this young, beautiful couple, wondering where they were after Spencer Tepe did not show up for work, and they made this gruesome discovery that they had been murdered. The Tepes will be laid to rest on Sunday. And so Law and Crime will continue to follow this case and bring you any.
So what do you think, chat, though? Do you think it's just the ex-husband who's abusive that couldn't get over it? Or is there more wrinkles to the story here? And I wouldn't have thought the more wrinkles to the story if not for that previous 911 call. But what do you think?
New information as the case unfolds.
All right, let's get to the latest on this case that we've been following closely out of Ohio, the murders of Spencer Tepe and his wife, Monique Tepe. Now, when it comes to how much information police give out to the public during an investigation like this, especially an investigation as public as this one is making national news. You really can only speculate with what the PR strategy is for police, why they're giving out certain pieces of information, why they aren't answering certain questions from journalists. Of course, the biggest question is how close are they to catching a killer?
So he was arrested in Illinois, and he has to be extradited back to Ohio.
It appears at this point only those on the inside, the people in the department, know the answer to that question. Now, this is the new body cam video that the city of Columbus just sent to us here at Law and Crime, and it shows the officer who was dispatched to make a welfare check at Spencer Tepe's home after he didn't show up for work at his dental office. And that officer, he did check out the property, he knocks on the door, didn't see anything left. The only issue is, according to the chief of police, he went to the wrong address. This was at roughly 9:30 in the morning, about 20 to 30 minutes after the first phone call was made by Spencer Tepe's boss, saying that something just didn't feel right because he didn't show up for work. It would be roughly another half hour until a 911 caller then discovers what he says is Spencer Tepe's body in the home of the couple on December 30th. More than a week into trying to find the person who killed Spencer and Monique in their home while their kids were there on December 30th, a lot of it is still a mystery. But the Columbus police chief did make some public comments, and from what we heard, she didn't directly say whether the public is still at risk. Now, what might that tell us about where police are in this investigation? We're going to talk about that, and we'll talk about what the chief reportedly said about the voice you hear in this call.
Hello?
Hi, this is 911. We just got a hang-up call. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're crying. Do you need police, paramedics, or anything?
No, I'm okay. I promise. I'm just emotional.
So that was a 911 call that was first obtained by Fox News Digital, and it claimed that this call was made in April at 2:45 in the morning on a Tuesday from the Tepe's address. Now, it is a woman who said that she had a disagreement with, quote, her man.
Okay. I don't need nothing.
Well, can I ask what had you call 911 in the first place? Like, were you having an argument with
Me and my
somebody?
man got into it, but I'm okay. I promise.
Did anything ever get physical?
No.
You guys were just arguing, nobody hit each other?
Yes.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I have the information here. I can go ahead and tell the officers to cancel hitting over to your address there.
That is so strange. So when she says her man, is she referring to the dentist? Or part of me thinks it's like maybe the ex that she got into a bit of a spat with, and maybe that's why she hung up the phone, and that's why she didn't want the police there, because it would almost be like a getting caught cheating situation or something. Is it a possibility? I think so. I think it's a possibility. But what else could it be? Like she was just, I don't know. I really don't know what else that could be there. Was she having problems with the dentist? I mean, maybe, but Monique's family says that it was definitely not her, which is interesting too.
Yes.
If
yes,
anything changes, call us back.
Okay.
So the chief confirmed to local media outlets what Spencer's brother-in-law told us here at Law and Crime this week, and that is the female voice you hear on that call, that is not Monique Tepe's voice. But the chief is also telling local media outlets a little bit more context as to where that call may have been coming from and whether this call could be important to the investigation. Now, the biggest piece of information that we do have at this point when it comes to this investigation and what's been given out to the public by police, it's this video. It's the person of interest walking down an alley behind Spencer and Monique's home in the early hours of December 30th. Police are continuing to call out to the public to see if anyone has more video from a time frame of between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning on December 30th. That is believed to be the time that police think that Spencer and Monique were killed. Now, you can see in the video that they have put out, even though it's grainy, there could be some clues to take away, because you see that this person, it appears to be a male. They're wearing gray pants, black shoes, a black coat, and they're walking down this alley in the middle of the night. This is a Tuesday morning this happened. Temperatures were in the 20s. This was the day before New Year's Eve. Now, you can see that this person of interest, they're not looking at the camera, and maybe that's on purpose. This alleyway is one that you can drive down. It gives access to the detached garages behind the townhomes where Spencer and Monique lived. And this is a drone shot from the Tepe's wedding video. It was shot by Spencer's brother-in-law, and you can see the back alley and these fairly new-looking townhomes all in a row. And again, the Tepes lived in one of those homes. Now, the person of interest, they keep their head down. They don't look up. It's unclear if they know that there are cameras in the back of these homes or maybe on garages as they walk down the street. You do see that in that person of interest video. It's a Nest camera. So this isn't like an official police camera that's out there, but the type of thing that somebody puts on the back of their home if they're maybe concerned about someone trying to break into their garage or someone going through their trash. Now, this person of interest also, they have some mannerisms that you hope that someone watching this video would notice. It looks like they might be pigeon-toed. Police are emphasizing that, again, this is a person of interest. They don't know if this is the killer.
He looks about 6'1", 6'2"-ish there. Couple 100 pounds, a little more.
If this is the person that they're looking for. The police chief did tell local media that this is really just a person who is in the area at the time where they are really focusing their investigation. This person may just be a person walking down the street after maybe spending time at a bar that closed late on a week where a lot of people were off work because of the holidays. We don't know, but you do consider the circumstances. This is suspicious. And also, we haven't heard if anyone has seen this video. Maybe they recognize that it is them walking down the alley. Maybe they were heading home from a bar or something like that. And yet, days after this video, which is being plastered on the news and on the internet, no one's come forward saying, hey, that was me. It's a big misunderstanding. I'm not the person you're looking for. So still at this point, that is the person of interest that police really want to talk to in this investigation. Now, I do want to talk about a couple new pieces of information that we did learn from these local news interviews that the...
So here's a theory. This is not a fact, what I'm about to say in any way. It's not confirmed, nothing. This is just a theory, to be very clear. So something that could explain some of this is maybe Monique was cheating on the dentist here with the ex. And that could explain why maybe the ex knew that keypad, because maybe they would have trysts there while the dentist was not there. Maybe. Is that possible? Possible. I'm not saying it's likely or unlikely, but it's a possibility. And then she decided finally to call it off for good, maybe. And then he lost it again and became furious and did what he did. Just a theory.
Chief of police in Columbus gave to media outlets in Ohio. Let's get you caught up, though, on where the investigation is, at least at this point. So up until the day that they were killed, Spencer and Monique Tepe, this is a couple that appeared to be living the lives that a lot of people dream of having. They're a young couple, young family. They're in a great home, a couple that was surrounded by people who love them. Their family has said that the Tepes, they loved having people over to their house. They were the kind of people who just loved bringing people together. This is their wedding video. It was shot in 2021 on what appears to be the steps of the home where they were found dead, this townhome in Ohio. Now, the couple had 2 kids, and those kids' ages 4 and 1 years old. Of course, in this story, there is no real good news because 2 people lost their lives. These 2 children lost their parents, but the children were unharmed when their parents were killed. The couple also had a dog. It's a golden doodle, and that dog was unharmed as well. And the children and the animal, they are now with Tepe family members as police continue this investigation. Now, Spencer had a great job. It was a job that he appears he really loved as well. He was a dentist, and he was working at an office in Athens, Ohio. And man, does it seem like he had a heck of a commute to the office, because that's roughly 75 miles from Columbus. His bio at his dental office says that he graduated from Ohio State in 2017. He had a doctor of dental surgery degree. He loved work, but outside of work, he loved the Ohio State Buckeyes. He loved the Cincinnati Bengals. That's where he grew up. And he also loved playing golf, traveling, and spending time with his family. Now, Spencer was married to Monique Tepe. There's an obituary that just went live. It's a joint obituary honoring both of them. And it reads that Monique grew up in Worthington, Ohio. That's a suburb north of Columbus. She grew up playing soccer. She was a runner. And like her husband, she was a graduate of Ohio State. And that's where she earned her master's in early childhood education. And while she was in school, she worked at a daycare. And the obit reads that she was now a stay-at-home mom who was known for her bright smile, infectious laugh, caring heart, and bubbly personality. The obituary says that Spencer and Monique, they were the life of the party. The couple met online, then they get married in December 2020. You know, it is just, as we've been covering this story, just so hard to comprehend how this could happen, because this was a couple. It just keeps sticking out to me just how loved this couple was for their generosity. They had this growing family, and they lose their lives like this. And you can also tell that so many people loved them just by the amount of 911 calls that were made out of concern when Spencer did not show up for work.
Columbus Police, Tech 107.
Yes, I would like to ask for a wellness check on an individual at their home.
So if you've been following this story with us, you know that these 911 calls that were made on December 30th, they started around 9 o'clock in the morning. And this is when Spencer didn't show up for work. The Columbus police chief did give an important piece of information, though, related to the response to these 911 calls. And we'll talk about that here in just a moment.
This individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family.
He didn't show up to work?
Correct.
Okay. Does he have medical problems or?
No, and he's been reliable, and we cannot get in touch with him, his wife, his family, anybody that lives in that house.
Okay. So
There's
you're
2
in
kids in the
Florida.
home. I'm in Florida. I own the business. I was informed by my employees that he was not at work, and he runs the office.
So the first call that came in was from Spencer's boss. He told the dispatcher that he was on vacation in Florida, and he started getting calls from Spencer's coworkers because Dr. Tepe didn't show up.
Have you guys received anything else, like calls about him or like a car accident or anything like that?
No, sometimes people just don't show up to work. I mean, maybe he's sick, I don't know.
Now, as much as the dispatcher said,
So we're at 14 minutes here. Let's skip to the Ashley Banfield video here. Then we'll come back to this.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield. This is Drop Dead Serious, and oh my God, it's.
Before we begin, thank you very much for this, Jude. I appreciate you and your support. You're the best.
It's day 11. This is January 10th. I did not expect to be bringing you this breaking news, but there's been an arrest. There's been an arrest in Columbus, Ohio. The story has been just needling me. I've been awake at nights. I have been feeling the Brian Koberger PTSD with someone skulking out there who killed a dentist and his wife in their beds and left their children behind in the bloodbath and made off into the night with not much from the police to go on in terms of the investigation or the motive or a suspect. And I was starting to think that we were going to go weeks on end like we did after Brian Koberger murdered those 4 innocent kids in their beds in Moscow, Idaho. That is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. We may get justice for Spencer Tepe and Monique Tepe way, way sooner than we did with Brian Koberger. And I cannot believe who it was they arrested.
I mean, so here's the thing. The ex-husband is innocent until proven guilty, but chances are there's a pretty good reason why he was arrested.
And how little we knew about Monique Tepe's past. So let me just start from the beginning. First of all, I just want you to know how relieved I am that they've got someone, but also how much more mysterious and how many questions this opens up. Starting from the beginning, everything we know so far, it's just kind of remarkable. I kind of did how didn't we go there, right? Police say that the man they've taken into custody is Michael David McKee. He is 39 years old. Court records list his address as 2100.
What's with all these maybe killers having 3 names? They always say 3 words, 3 names. Lee Harvey Oswald, Mark David Chapman. Who else? There's got to be others, right?
North Lincoln Park West, an apartment in Chicago. Mr. McKee is 6'1", about 200 pounds, brown hair, green eyes, and all that description is great. But this description is way more important. He is Monique Tepe's ex-husband. Yeah. Not many people knew that she had an ex-husband. I'm going to tell you a lot about this because it was kind of a blip in her life.
Let's see. Her. Him. How do they look here? Smile's not as big here. She's younger, no doubt.
Maybe more than just a blip in a matter of time that she was married. Maybe there was something really big there, because clearly if he's guilty of this murder, holy shit, something really went sideways in that marriage. But there's something else you need to know. He's a medical doctor. A medical doctor.
Oh.
His practice is listed in Rockford, Illinois.
What another wrinkle. So he's a medical doctor. Wow. You don't think of doctors doing this kind of thing. They of course can. There's been serial killers. There's one called Dr. Death. It happens. But it's just not your first thought a lot of times.
That matters. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But what kind of a doctor is he? A very, very specialized doctor. He is a vascular surgeon. And WebMD says he works or worked at OSF Children's Medical Group Congenital Heart Center in Rockford, Illinois. According to WebMD, he graduated from Ohio State University Medical School in 2014. And I want to just tell you how...
It sounds like Monique was hot for doctors here. Got a dentist, a vascular surgeon.
Specialized this guy is and how much time he has spent in university. While in the back of my mind, again, the Idaho PTSD is kicking in because, we never expected that the guy they arrested for the murders of the 4 kids at 1122 King Road was going to be a PhD student, right? And now here in this case, we have a medical doctor arrested. Get this. In order to become a vascular surgeon, this is just a typical route. 4 years of undergraduate, 4 years of medical school. A traditional path will then take you into 5 years of general surgery residency. And then after that, an additional 2 years of vascular surgery fellowship. So that's a lot of time spent in university in order to become a vascular surgeon. So again, graduated in 2014. And wait until you hear why that matters, because, doctors, some will graduate with lots of debt. I'm guessing he may have, because what you're about to find out in a minute kind of sounds like he was broke ass coming out of school and starting as a doctor. But let me first take you to his address currently on North Lincoln Park West in Chicago. He's got money now.
Chicago's Illinois. How far is Illinois from Ohio? Let's see.
He's in a fairly expensive high rise. It's located right on Lake Michigan. Look at the view from his apartment. That is a spectacular view of the water of Lake Michigan. And we found his apartment on Zillow because
kind of give me some Patrick Bateman vibes there. Oh, I had a great apartment overlooking the park, but the only apartment that was better than mine was Paul Allen's, and I hated it.
It's the address listed on the arrest warrant. So my thought is that this is going to be a pretty current address for him. And the Zillow pictures are beautiful. This place is lovely. Whether it's in a rented apartment or a condo, I don't know yet. I'll get there. But look, it's pretty fancy. And the Zillow Zestimate is about $500,000. But
woo, we rocking and rolling. Thank you very much for this, Tigress. I appreciate you. Thanks for the super sticker. It's amazing of you to be so thoughtful. And also thank you for making the recommendation that we watch her too. It's very helpful.
That can be, it can be accurate, can be off, could be upwards of $1 million depending on all the fixtures and what was in there. That view certainly bumps it to more expensive than the average, apartment in that building that doesn't have.
So it's like, I looked it up too. It's like 300 miles. That's far. It's like 5 to 7 hours, but depending on the location of where they are in each, could be around there. I mean, it's certainly not something you're going to be doing all the time if you're actually doing it, right? Now, they could maybe do occasional if it really was like a cheating thing. But that's pure just a speculation theory. And I'm not even saying it's likely. It's just a possibility I've thrown out there.
The view, but if you look at the building itself, it's like beautifully appointed, right? It's in a really nice neighborhood, and the outside of the building is definitely not run down. This is an upscale apartment where this doctor lived. Michael David McKee, Dr. McKee, was arrested early this morning, and again, it is Saturday, January 10th, and they picked him up in Illinois. He is being held right now on an out-of-state warrant for 2 counts of murder, and they're saying that he's going to be in court on Monday in 2 days, so it's going to be a shitty weekend in jail for Mr. McKee, without a doubt. What is interesting is how police said that they got to him. Behind the scenes, I have been wondering, what were these cops, what were these detectives doing? Why didn't they call in the FBI? Jennifer Koffendorfer wondered, why didn't they bring in?
But here's the other thing, right? So B just said that she left the ex abruptly while he was at work. And sure, that can be a thing. But also when there's a trauma bond, people do go back. People do go back, even in abusive relationships, all of the time. 7 times on average. So remember that part too.
The FBI. They said they had so much surveillance video to go over that they were.
And what I mean 7 times on average is it takes 7 times to fully leave an abusive relationship. So on one hand, you're gung ho, you're ready to get out of there, you do all the right things, and then the trauma bond kicks in and you go back. Am I saying that's what happened here? No, I'm just saying that does happen a lot though.
Overwhelmed. And it's like, well, God, I mean, get help, because, TikTok, it's never good if there's a homicidal maniac running around town like Koberger did for a month and a half.
And the only reason I came up with that theory is because of that 911 call where she's called in the middle of the night, has a fight with her man, and who's her man? The dentist? But then she doesn't want to follow through on the call. It's interesting. And I just speculated that a reason she wouldn't want to follow through on a call is if she was fighting with someone else.
After the killings of the Idaho 4. But it turns out these cops were doing a lot behind the scenes. This is not some big dramatic confession. This is not a mind-blowing tip that opened this case wide open, right?
neighborhood surveillance. This is what it came down to. All those cameras that we've been showing you, obviously one's on houses, the one that was on the street corner, neighborhood surveillance. That's where this started, and that's how it ended. Investigators reviewed the footage from all around the Tepe's home, and they spotted something.
You know, her family said it was not her, but that doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's true that it wasn't her. Also to note, looks can be deceiving a lot of times. How do you know? A lot of narcissistic people are completely different behind closed doors than they are in public. So just because you see things look a certain way doesn't mean the behind closed doors action is going to be congruent with that.
A vehicle arriving in the area right before the shootings and leaving right after the shootings. What does this remind you of? They followed that vehicle trail. They identified that vehicle. And what do you know? They were able to connect that specific vehicle back to Dr. McKee, Mo's ex-husband. Police later found this same car in Rockford, Illinois. Whatever it was, there's evidence inside the car that linked them back to Dr. McKee, and ownership of the vehicle, not just a rented car, not a stolen car, not a borrowed car, ownership of the car.
So that was his car, ownership of the car. And that's how he was picked up. Now, but back to the voice. So the family did say it wasn't her, but I'm saying, how do we know it wasn't her? Might they be lying about it? It's possible. Someone else in the chat here said that, oh, it sounded just like her doing her wedding videos. And I don't know if that's true, but that's what someone said.
I'd write back to, say it with me, Dr. McKee. And that's when things started getting real quick in the investigation. Now, once you start looking at Dr. McKee's history with Monique Tepe, with Mo, there are details that start to stand out, and not in a sensational way, but in a way that matters. Their marriage was very short, like ridiculously short. They got married in August of 2015. Nice summer wedding, right? But they were already separated by March of the next year. So count with me. That's 7 months. 7 months. And they were already calling it quits and getting out of each other's hair. Here's what's a little bit weird. Doesn't really line up, but okay. They did not file for divorce right away. That's not so odd. Some people try to work it out during a trial separation, right? They stayed legally married for more than a year after the separation. That's going on a little bit. Like, okay, some people try separation for a year. So married 7 months, already moving out. And then it was like 14 months.
And that's congruent with like a narcissistic person dropping his mask after the wedding day. Only lasted 7 months. That's congruent with that. And again, but back to that 911 call, if it's coming from that home and it's not her, then who is it? Are they wrong that it's coming from that home? Who else would be calling from that home then? Or are they wrong that it was that address?
Before they actually filed for divorce. So May of 2017. So they married in summer of 2015, out of it by the spring of 2016. A year and 2 months later, May of 2017, they're like, that's it, call it quits, file the paperwork, we're done. And then once the paperwork was filed for divorce, it was over almost immediately.
So they set a cell phone around there. Why are they even connecting this to the case if it was just a cell phone from around there? That doesn't make sense to me.
And it was finalized by June. So May, June. Yeah, it was like about 6 weeks. That's really lightning fast. Like they had talked it all out. They had figured it all out. They didn't, end up in a trial. They didn't do any of that stuff. They did it in a settlement, right? It wasn't a divorce trial. It was a settled event. So that tells you that maybe things were smooth in the way they decided to divorce. Because listen, I've been divorced. I know the process. You can either be real ugly about it or you can talk it out with your person and you can decide to come to an agreement and then just go to court and stamp it. 6 weeks is that. The ugly stuff goes on for weeks and weeks and months and years for people who just can't get, they're just like at loggerheads. This doesn't sound like that to me. it's a bit strange given where we are. You got a marriage that ends fast. You got a long stretch of time where divorce isn't filed. Then you got a divorce that's like rubber stamped, lightning speed. So we looked a little further into the filings, and buried in those filings are little things that tell you a hell of a lot about how the relationship actually functioned while they were together and separated, right? Monique listed her engagement ring and her wedding ring as separate property, not marital property. And when asked why she did that, she wrote a very simple answer. You ready for this? It's weird. Quote, I paid, quote. Okay. Okay. Maybe non-traditional. It's not usual. It's not typical.
Then to me, that was bad reporting then by Brian Yetton and Law and Crime Network to even associate this with the case if it was not a sure thing from that house. Why would you do that? That gives them both a strike in my book, if that's what happened.
An engagement ring is usually purchased by the guy, given to the girl, owned by the girl. There's been a lot of contentious fights in civil court about give me back the ring if the marriage doesn't work out or if the engagement's off. And typically, it belongs to the person who got it. Then again, oftentimes it's looked at as a contract. You bought a ring, you gave it to the girl as a promissory contract that there will be a union. So sometimes you can look at it as, hey, it was just a gift. You should give it to me. I own it. I'm the, ownership is king. But often it can be looked at as a contract. So there she is writing, I paid. She bought her own engagement and wedding rings. She put the values on them as well. The engagement ring was $2,500. The wedding ring was $3,500. And I know what you're going to say. Wait, the engagement ring was cheaper than the wedding ring? It's usually the other way around. Like an engagement ring usually has a stone in it, a diamond, typically, not always, but usually. And the wedding ring is usually a band. But no, this is what the documents say. The divorce documents say she paid $2,500 for the engagement ring and $3,500 for the wedding ring.
So back to the call though, too, because I'm caught up on this now. If there was no direct connection, why even mention that? Right? There's no direct connection. You don't know it was from that house. Why even bring it up to potentially cause trouble that shouldn't be there in that case? Like, I don't like that.
And by the way, can I just mention, $2,500 for an engagement ring means you're not really getting a big stone. You're going to be hard pressed to get a very big stone at $2,500. So I looked at the wedding ring best I could to Spencer Tepe and what that looked like. I don't know if Monique paid for it. I don't know if Spencer paid for it. But from what we can see in her wedding videos and her wedding photos, the stone looks kind of significant, big enough to stand out in the picture. My guess is that it was likely not a $2,500 engagement ring marrying Spencer Tepe, for what it's worth. So I don't know if there was financial acrimony in the last marriage. I don't know if things got so much better in this marriage. Could it have meant picture?
Good dentist marketing here. Pearly whites, not crooked.
Pictures like this online that, made the ex-husband seething with anger and seeing this lavish lifestyle, and this beautiful wedding and this lovely house. And all of these things are things to think about when we're thinking about motive, when we're thinking about how, the whys. There's going to be a lot more talk about all of that. But at the time that the filings, at the time all of that was happening, they were not even living in the same state, right? Dr. McKee and Monique. Monique was living in Ohio and she was working for Nationwide. And Dr. McKee was working in Virginia at a medical clinic. So not just separation in the same city, they weren't seeing each other more than likely. There was also a standard mutual restraining order that was issued as part of the divorce. And let me stop you right there. I got a divorce. There was no such thing as that for us. Standard restraining order.
Mutual restraining order. So that speaks to what? Probably some kind of abuse going on there, no doubt.
I wouldn't have filed it anyway. I didn't have that kind of divorce. But a mutual standard restraining order. Maybe it's unique to Ohio, maybe other states as well. It's not standard for every state, I can tell you, but this was boilerplate in this case and maybe a lot of other cases in Ohio, but it does specifically prohibit harassment and bodily harm between spouses. Okay, interesting. Well, this is years ago, right? Right now, Dr. McKee has not entered a plea. He's sitting in jail. I don't even know if they have a magistrate on duty, right? It might just be one of those things like it sucks to be arrested on a Friday night or a Saturday because you're going to sit there until judge comes back into work Monday morning, right? Sometimes they have weekend magistrates who can, do some things.
Cold looking face, emotionless. Well, they say also, like, there's a version of surgeons. He's a vascular surgeon. They're the ones that are most likely to be narcissistic because, in fact, their lack of empathy can actually help them be a better surgeon. Believe it or not, it helps you be more like cold and actually be precision. You can actually look into that. It's kind of interesting. But he doesn't look like a caring fellow.
But they're not going to give you bond, not typically for something this big. He has not been extradited back to Ohio yet, so he's still sitting in Illinois. And police haven't laid out a public motive yet. I don't know if there'll be a gag in this case or not. But the case has shifted. It has shifted. Holy shit, did it ever just shift? We're not asking who at this point. We're asking why. And we're asking how. But I do have one big fear, and that is motive. Just like Kohberger, we still don't know. We still don't know what brought him to that house.
I easily could see it. I mean, let's make some theories here. He's a narcissistic person, maybe antisocial person. And what do we know about narcissistic people? It's all about power, control, managing their image, narcissistic supply, and avoiding accountability. If you lose control and you're someone like that, you become furious. And it becomes, you have a narcissistic injury. You might even get a narcissistic collapse if it's severe enough. And at that point, you want to do anything to get that person back under your control. If you can't do that, then what will they settle for? They'll settle for trying to make you miserable. What's one way to make you miserable? Dead. Now, of course, this is an extreme example, but it does happen. That certainly does happen. And this case proves that it could possibly happen this way if this is indeed what's going on.
In this case, at least we have one thing that's crystal clear. He knew this woman. If it's Dr. McKee, he knew this woman. And they had a love affair. And it went south. And she had a new love affair that was looking pretty good. 2 beautiful kids, great house, successful dentist, lovely wedding video that's all over the internet. So, and you know that there's a fine line between love and hate, right? And it is a razor's edge. And when you tip over, you're in it. You're into hate. So it got me thinking about the 3 shell casings and the information about the forensics of the bodies, how Mo and Spencer were found. We know that Mo was shot once in the chest, and we know that Spencer was shot multiple times. I'm thinking twice because there's 3 shell casings, but I don't know if the killer picked up a couple shell casings on the way out. I don't know.
Now, that's the interesting part of it, right? Why 3 for him if it was the ex-husband doing it? Wouldn't you think the anger would be more towards the woman in that case than the man? Or is he thinking, no, I want to make sure the man doesn't interfere with this whole thing, so I want to make sure with him? I don't
know how many times he was shot. But if that's the case, it could be 2 things. I hate you. I want you to suffer. I'm going to shoot you once and watch you die. And I hate him too, but I'm going to take him out with a number of gunshots, right? A little like Betty Broderick, right? If you think about Betty Broderick bursted into the bedroom of her ex-husband and his new wife and shot them in bed. Spencer was seen off the bed in a pool of blood, covered in blood. The 911 caller did not see Mo, but I've got lots coming up on what he did see, where he saw it from, clearing up a lot of the confusion in that. But again, you're going to have to listen to the stuff that I just recorded before the arrest, when my headspace was, in the mystery of who done it and the Idaho, PTSD. But I've got a lot of information on that. And I've done a big breakdown on the cops' response to the welfare check, the body cam. I've got that. And I've zeroed in on an address. And I do not think that the police were anywhere near even 4th Street. North 4th Street, not in the investigation that I've done. So without further ado, what I want to do is I want to play for you everything that I just finished recording before this arrest happened. Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield and this is Drop Dead Serious. And I don't know about you, but
So to reiterate, this is all before the arrest.
And I'm just going to say it. I have Idaho anxiety. 3 years ago, when some stranger broke into a college student's home just off campus and stabbed 4 innocent kids to death and then just made off in the middle of the night, and we were left all in the dark with some comment from the police like, don't worry, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's no danger to the community. This was a targeted attack. I bring this up because there's something that's brewing in Columbus, Ohio, with this dentist and his wife who were murdered in the middle of the night. And right now we're at day 10. It's January 9th. And there's nothing. There's no suspect. There's no leads. There's very little, if anything, coming from the police. And I remember the parlor games, the guessing games, the chewing up of people and spitting them out all over, Moscow, Idaho, until there was a suspect. I just remember so much trauma from those days. I remember feeling for the people of Moscow, all those kids, the students whose parents said, you're coming home now. I want you home now. Christmas exams be damned, right? I remember that. I remember that terror, and I wasn't even in Moscow, Idaho.
That's a good point by Kat there, that he might have done the dentist first so that it would force the woman to see that happen, to kind of torture her more. That very well could be, as gruesome as it is.
Oh, I remember Brian Enton from News Nation, my colleague there, telling me the palpable feelings of what it was like to know that there was a homicidal maniac somewhere out there among them. And the police were saying, don't worry about it.
Well, remember, narcissists don't really love. They use, control, and exploit. That's their version of love. If a narcissist says they love you, what they really mean is, I love how you make me feel. I love what you do for me. I love how you help my image. That's what they mean. It's not about a genuine version of love. And you would say their impaired empathy absolutely interferes with their ability to love.
It was a targeted attack. There's no danger to the community. Well, there was. There was a homicidal maniac who was a big danger to the community. But the rest of us were left thinking, well, was this a drug deal gone bad? And are all these 4 victims a bunch of druggies? And, those parlor games were painful. And in retrospect, they were just awful to consider what people were thinking with the lack, in the void, in the vortex of the black hole of no information. And here we are in Columbus, Ohio, and it's starting to feel like those days after Brian Koberger did what he did at 1122 King Road. Something else I want to talk about on this podcast, because the pieces are starting to really come together. I know everybody's been sleuthing like crazy online, but I think we now know a few things that we didn't know before. For starters, we now have the body cam of the police officer who responded to the welfare check and did not respond to 1411 North 4th Street, which is the Tepe's house. The officer responds to 1417. But I'm going to show you some things in this podcast that may prove he wasn't even on the right street. I don't personally believe that he even got to 1417 North 4th. I think he was on another street. I'm not kidding. In a minute, I'm going to show you the pictures and count up the houses from the Tepes and prove to you why I believe that. But I also have other information and, real sleuthing on the 911 call that came in from Spencer's friend. His name is Alex Diddy, and he's the one who said, there's a body, there's blood. I can't get any closer. But when you really break down the 911 call, and I'm going to do that in a moment, you're going to learn for sure he's inside the house. And it's now effectively been proven he's not calling from looking in the second story window, which was so complicated to us, right? How could you get up there? But he's inside the house. And here's what's even more just, I don't know, jaw-droppingly sad. I think he rescued the 4-year-old, maybe even the 17-month-old. And this 1-year-old is 17 months old, apparently, closer to 2 years old. So when I break down the 911 call in a moment, you're going to hear why we now believe that Alex Diddy was inside the house, saw the carnage, got the F out of there, and grabbed the kids and took them downstairs, at least one of them. Okay, so all of that I'm going to go through in just a moment, but I want to start from the beginning because, like I said, it is starting to feel like the days of, after Brian Koberger slipped into 1122 King Road and butchered those 4 innocent college kids. That is now 3 years ago. Because whoever murdered a popular dentist and his wife in Columbus, Ohio, 10 days ago, and I'm recording this on January 9th, this is a complete mystery. He's still out there skulking around, but with very little said by the police, And that's just what Koberger did for a month and a half before.
So, Crown makes a good point in the comments here. It is interesting that it happened 5 years later. Like, what does that mean? That he was just nursing a resentment for that long? Yeah, that's certainly possible. Narcissists do nurse resentments and nurture them, probably nurture them better than people, right? But that was one of the other things why I was speculating, maybe there is something still going on, like some trauma bond action between Monique and him and a back and forth thing, which would explain some of that distance also. But again, doesn't have to be that way, right? It could have just been he was simply nursing the resentment, still didn't get over the fact he lost control, and then he did what he did. Took a while, but he still did it.
Before he was caught. So police actually did address that elephant in the room. Here's what Chief Elaine Bryant of the Columbus PD said to ABC News yesterday, and I quote, "I know it's frustrating for people. I know they want answers as soon as we are."
So I misspoke because someone said 5 years in the chat. It's 8 years, though. It was 2017 they got divorced, but this didn't happen until 2020. Did it happen in 2026? Or the very end of 2025? I think it was the very beginning of 2026.
Able to provide more information. We will absolutely be coming back to talk about that. But right now, it's premature for us to say what the motive is, or we don't have a suspect identified at this point. So no suspect yet, no motive yet. And that's exactly where we were at this point in the Koberger investigation. But eventually they got their man. They got him. So do Columbus police have a handle on this case? Something we just don't know about? All the back.
And B is 100% correct about this. Monique's friends. If anyone knows what's going on with the ex, if there's anything going on with it at all, her friends know. Her friends know. So they would be the ones that would know the answer to that.
Channel stuff that could be going on? Well, today they cleared up something. They are now officially backing up the Tepe family members' claim that an unidentified female caller who called 911 from inside that home 9 months before the double murder was, in fact, not Monique Tepe, the murder victim.
Hi, this is 911. We just got a hang-up call. Is everything okay?
So let's see what she said about this.
I'm okay.
Female caller who called 911 from inside that home.
So this is why I was annoyed, because she said inside that home. That's what Brian Etten said. That's what Law and Crime Network said. If it's not inside the home, why are they saying inside the home? That doesn't make sense to me. because other people are saying, well, it could have been from around the area. Cell phone's not exact. But to say inside the home is a different thing. But let's see.
9 months before the double murder was, in fact, not Monique Tepe, the murder victim.
Hi, this is 911. We just got a hang-up call. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're crying. Do you need police, paramedics, or anything?
Honestly, it sounds like it could be her voice to me.
No, I'm okay. I promise. I'm just emotional. I'm okay. I don't mean nothing.
Well, can I ask what had you call 911 in the first place? Like, were you having an argument with
Me and my
somebody?
man got into it, but I'm okay. I promise.
Did anything ever get physical?
No.
You guys were just arguing, nobody hit each other?
Yes.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I have the information here. I can go ahead and tell the officers to cancel hitting.
So there's a possibility, right? Because think, the kids are 4 and 1 right now. 9 months ago, maybe 3 and a few months after birth, or 6 months or so after birth, right? Maybe Spencer or Monique go out for an evening and the babysitter's at the home watching the kids as they sleep. So it's fairly young. I don't know. How often do people with a 6-month-old or under a year-old person get a babysitter? I don't know. Maybe you mothers in the chat, fathers in the chat, let me know. I'm not sure. But maybe they're out. They're out doing something for a night. And that could be a babysitter calling from inside the home. Another possibility.
Over to your address there at 1411 North 4th Street.
Yes.
If anything changes, call us back.
Okay.
All right,
I'm sorry.
So that part is squared away. It officially.
But here's the other thing. Someone who's drunk may also sound much younger than they are sometimes.
Was not Mo Tepe on the line. But if it was not her, who the hell was it? I'm going to ask a very pointed question about that in just a moment. And I'm kind of going on a theory that some people may think is squirrely, but it's where my mind went. And I'm going to get some clarity from somebody who knows a lot about stuff like this in just a second. But now Columbus police are actually going further and releasing another piece of information that seems to add more questions than answers to this mystery. They are confirming that there's been.
So what we need to do is find audio of Monique talking. Someone said there's audio of them at the wedding. If I can find that, that would be interesting to go over.
And no history of domestic calls from this home. And that there's been no history of calls to 911 altogether from this home. So how do detectives work these details into the investigation? How might this information help them track the killer? Earlier on my News Nation show, I talked to retired FBI agent Jennifer Koffendorfer, who served on a tactical SWAT team and even worked undercover during her time at the Bureau. And I put this to her and that little theory that I've developed. I wanted to know how she'd weigh in, and here's our conversation.
So before we get into this, so Miss says the brother-in-law said it was a girl from a party. A girl from a party on a Tuesday night, though. I mean, I'm not saying not true, but it's an interesting night for a party.
There is a question. Please don't think I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I can't help thinking about it. If it wasn't Mo Tepe now officially, is it possible that this was someone having an affair with Spencer who was so distraught and angry that she came back and exacted vengeance? And is that a theory that police might actually be running down at this point?
Well, I think it's a logical theory, certainly nothing that we have heard substantiated from law enforcement, but you can bet they are going to run down who made that call, interview that woman, and find out what the details were surrounding that.
So no suspects, no motives. Day 10, I am getting, Koberger anxiety. Is that, are you feeling the same thing? Is it shades of?
And this is true too. That's another good point, where if the doctor's or the dentist's office closed on Wednesday, Maybe Tuesday's their get down night. Have some fun. That's just a possibility, right? And I agree also, if it's a cell phone and they're not exactly sure if it came from inside the house or not, you can't be saying it came from inside the house. Like, be specific. Be specific about what it is, because you want to be precise with this kind of thing. Because when you're not precise, it can lead people like myself to make speculations that might just not be accurate.
BK?
It's shades, but this is the piece that really concerns me, Ash, is why in the world don't we have the FBI involved for the reason of offering to look at all that surveillance video? That chief said they're basically overwhelmed with that video. You need to get the Bureau in there to help with the review of that video.
It's a really good point, because I just assume, when you have something this mysterious and you're 10 days in, that the FBI has already been called. We also learned that the police admitted they went to the wrong house for the welfare check. So normally I would say, okay, so that's just a difference in minutes because someone else came and eventually the cops got there. But all those people who showed up at the house and were calling the police again to say, you got to get here. And the second round of cops that got to the house, well, there's footprints now everywhere. So could the killer's footprints be compromised now?
Absolutely, Ashley. That actually cost almost an hour between response times. And remember, there was a friend who actually entered that house, called and reported on that second floor, seeing the Tepe, at least Dr. Tepe there. Very concerning. Whenever you go into a scene, you leave something, and whenever you depart, you take something. So it's a problem.
My thanks to Jennifer Koffendorfer. I always love touching base with her.
So you team Maureen or Jennifer Koffendorfer? How do you pronounce her name?
So it's a problem.
My thanks to Jennifer Koffendorfer. I always love touching base.
Koffendorfer. I'd like to see how that's spelled.
With her.
But are you team Jennifer or you team Maureen?
Because she does this, right? This is what her whole career was. But there is something that I want to do now that I think will debunk a lot of the confusion about where the 911 caller was when he discovered the bodies. Was he looking through the window? Was he inside the house? It's all pretty clear now he was inside the house. There's a couple of reasons why I can tell you that is likely what will become the official account. And that is the sound of his voice when he discovers the body of Spencer. He does not see Monique. Mo may have been on the other side, fallen off the bed, just like Rob Reiner's discovery. His daughter saw daddy, did not see mom, right? She saw Rob Reiner dead, but she did not see her mother, Michelle, dead because she may have been on the other side of the bed. I think that might have been a circumstance here. But I'm going to play you this 911 call. And I want to just say thank you to Plunder True Crime. It's a YouTube channel that obtained the full 911 call, because when you hear the full call, all the clues come like cascading out. What you're going to hear is Alex Diddy, Spencer's friend, who's inside the house, and he's upstairs now in the master bedroom. He sees this awful carnage. He says, "Oh God." And then afterwards, you can hear a child who says something like "mommy," or it's hard to tell, but it sounds like mommy. And you can hear his footsteps going downstairs, and he goes, "Come downstairs." And then he goes on with the details to 911 when he's already downstairs. So the reason he said, "I can't get closer," I believe, is because I think he has the child or the children with him downstairs at this point. So he can't just leave them, and he sure as hell can't take them up there to see this. And it may also be the reason why the family member that I interviewed, the children's uncle, told me that he believed that the kids did not see the murder nor the aftermath, the carnage. And it may have been because Alex Diddy got them the hell out of the second floor and downstairs before, thank God if he did that, before they could see any of that. So I'm going to play the call for you now and listen for those cues that Alex Diddy says about seeing Spencer saying, "Oh God," and then you hear, "Mommy, get downstairs now," and the footsteps. Have a listen.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
1411 North 4th.
Okay, 1411 North 4th. We've got several calls on that. What's changed since the last person I talked to?
There's a body.
There's a body inside?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
So the questions people were asking during my first video breakdown of this is, how does he see if it's on the second floor? He must have gone inside the house somehow.
Let me get you on the line with the medic, okay? Stay on the line.
Oh my God.
What is the address of your emergency?
1411 North 4th.
Okay, 1411?
Yeah.
All right, the house apartment?
House.
All right, let me guess, what's going on there?
There's a body. Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here, and he appears dead.
Okay.
There's blood. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood. I can't get closer to see more than that.
Okay, so you can tell he's obviously not breathing or anything?
Yeah.
Is it like, kind of like, you know, does he look like...
It doesn't look puddled. I can't look.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so he probably had like a key code, a passcode or a key to get in the house. He goes upstairs and he sees him just motionless and maybe blood nearby. And he doesn't really want to check, and understandably so, because it's creepy, man. I mean, how often in your life are you going to see a dead body of someone that is a young person, 37 years old and 39 years old, on the scene of the crime? You are not going to see that very often in your life unless you work in a hospital or you're an EMT.
Understand. Okay, and then when was the last time?
And sometimes some cops too. Don't want to forget them. Firefighters even.
Somebody spoke to him?
Yesterday, I suppose.
Yesterday? Okay.
Yeah.
How old is he?
37.
37. Okay. Is he like a drug user or anything like that?
No.
Okay. All right. Just that's a really young age.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. All right. We're on our way.
Okay, sir, can you stay on the line for a minute, and can you give me your name?
Alex Diddy.
I'm sorry?
Alex Diddy.
Alex, how do you spell your last name?
D-I-T-T-Y.
Here's something else to think about, because I had two children close in age. So I remember when they were 4, when they were 2, mine are 19 months apart, and these kids are 17 months and 4. I never locked them into their rooms. That would be nuts, right? But I did put up child gates so that if they got up in the middle of the night, they wouldn't wander and fall down the stairs or get hurt. I don't know what Spencer and Mo's setup was on the second floor, but we kind of know that the kids are upstairs.
And think, that's what Romy sees when she goes inside her parents' home with Rob and Michelle. And I think she only sees Michelle, her mother. And she like freaks out more than likely. Doesn't even look for her dad. She's just terrified and then gets the heck out of there. So that's another one that I've there's probably even more blood with a knife attack than a gun attack, honestly.
I'm going to say this. Very few parents would ever sleep on a different floor than their babies. It's just not done. Some do, but it's not usual. So I'm just going to go on the norm that the children have bedrooms upstairs, even though there's bedrooms in the basement of this house. So kids upstairs, middle of the night, gunshots going off, maybe even yelling and screaming, would probably wake up the kids, might have woken up the kids, don't know. But if those kids were up, would the 4-year-old have been able to get out of the bedroom and wander and discover? I don't know. Again, the uncle of the children believes that didn't happen, but it is interesting how it could be that they were kept at bay until perhaps Alex Diddy was able to rescue them and get them downstairs. Anyway, it's something we'll eventually find out, I think, right? But at this point, it's just a fascinating notion to know it's not that big a house. Kids are on the second floor with parents, lots of gunshot wounds because Spencer was shot multiple times. Monique was shot in the chest. Guns are loud. That would likely wake up children. And maybe it woke them up and they went back to sleep, knowing that everything had gone quiet. Anyway, I want to cover this other aspect that is just sort of perplexing. And I've just kind of done some sleuthing with some street views of North 4th. And here's why I think the police didn't even show up on North 4th. They have admitted that they went to the wrong house when they were asked to do a welfare check just after 9 o'clock in the morning. And they've said that they went to 1417. Okay. And we know that the Tepe's house.
You're right. She found her father's body, not her body. So I was wrong about that.
This is 1411.
And I'm talking about Romy finding Rob Reiner's body. She didn't see Michelle's. She found Rob's. I guess what confused me about that is how was she seeing her father's body if the mother was in the hallway? You would think you would see the mother's body first, but perhaps not.
11. Well, that's the same side of the street. They're odd numbers, right? So we know that 1417 would be maybe 3 doors down. Because if you count up by 2, which is typically how addresses go, you'd go 1411, then 1413, then 1415, then 1417. Sometimes there's multiple addresses in one house, so I'll accommodate for that. But we know this. I'm going to show you a picture of the Tepe's house on North 4th, and the police are just out front parked. You can see it's the brown house right behind that light pole. The house on the left is a white house. It's on the corner, okay? That's 8th. Right? You're on North 4th right now with the cops parked here, but the cross street is on the other side of that house on the left, the White House on the left. That's 8th. So count up from the Tepes. If that's 1411, the Tepes, the house next door, presumably, is 1413. It could be 1415 because at some point there's Google addresses that say it's 1413 and 15, right? So it might have had apartments in it, but now these look gentrified. They look like they might be single family homes, but let's just count up anyway. So 1411 is Tepe's, the brown one. Then the next one is brown and white, and it could be 1413 or 1415, which would make the next house 1415 or 1417. But let's just assume these are single family houses. Tepe's 1411. Brown and white house is 1413. The next house that's kind of beige and brown as well is 1415. And then the house after that, let's zero in on it. The white house that looks older. This one hasn't been knocked down yet, right? And gentrified and rebuilt. That older house, that I get to be, I guess, 1417. And if you watch the body cam of the cop who is arriving at 1417, I want you to pay close attention to what side of the house the cop walks up and under the address and goes to the door. Because if you look at the house I'm showing you, you can clearly see that the stairway is on the right-hand side of that house, right-hand side of a porch. Now watch the body cam and see if it looks anything like this.
Good soundtrack.
Radio 31.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to church.
Okay.
Business 8A3752 North High, Winkle Green and Co. Drop this rear entry door, front motion, and rear motion detector.
Guys, taking whistling while you work a little too far here. This guy almost reminds me of the cop from the movie Magnolia.
Send that to me, clear for Wi-Fi.
31, I'll show you clear.
31, copy that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I was made for loving you, baby, baby, made for loving me.
He's having a blast at work in his little cop car. He's like a kid.
$61, 23, 21, 19.
Now, this is him going to the wrong house, or is this going to the right house?
Unit 43.
What an obnoxious cop knock.
30A, 980 King, apartment 8, C. Genevieve.
Got it.
And so why are they even playing this, him going to the wrong house, just to get us entertained by his own soundtrack?
Anybody home?
This guy, he's a hoot. He should be on Tickety Talk. Oh, thank you very much, Heather. You are the best. I appreciate your support here and all your comments in the chat. I love it. Oh, and by the way, everyone else, like the video if you didn't like it already, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel.
Anybody home?
I'm going to give this guy a headlining act at the Chuckle Hut. And you got to love that cop knock. That ba 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 ba.
Bird. Anybody home? There we go. Anybody home? Well, it was the old college try.
Give the old college try, he says.
So it's obvious that's not the house, right? That cop walked up to the left-hand side of an older house, 1417, and didn't walk up any stairs, just walked right towards the door. That is not the house that you just saw on the picture I showed you on North 4th, 3 doors down from the Tepes, 1417 North.
So just adds another layer of comedy gold that it was the wrong house while he was doing that whole thing. That the whole thing was at the wrong house. And I'm guessing this happened before the friends actually did find out what's going on, right? Otherwise, this call wouldn't have even happened. So just a debacle. Not that he, I guess at this point they were already gone, but still.
4th. I, for that reason, do not believe that the cops were even on North 4th. Look, I'm happy to be disproven because lots of these houses have been knocked down and rebuilt, but that house on North 4th is old. That's been there a long time. And the house that the cop walked up to, that's old too. That's been there for a long time. So I'll be curious to find out what street did they actually respond to. And I also am curious to find out what instruction did the cop get from dispatch. Did the cop get the address 1411 North 4th and screw up so royally?
And that's the question, right? Is it dispatch's error or was it the cop's error? Or is there another error somewhere? But which one do you think it was?
Or did the cop get a bogus instruction from dispatch? That part of the tapes I haven't heard yet, and I'm willing to suspend disbelief until I get more clarity. So that's where we stand. And all I am thinking about is what the cops have already, because they have to get to a bar where they can make the arrest, because the clock starts ticking when you make an arrest. You got to have enough. You got to have enough, because you constitutionally have a right to a speedy trial in America. And if a defendant says, I want that speedy trial, you better be prepared, coppers. Then you better be prepared, right? So you always have to have.
Thank you very much for this, Amina. I appreciate you. It's an early good night for me. Thank you, Jared, in chat. Thank you, Amina. And we appreciate all your comments here in the chat. You are the best. Appreciate all of your support.
Enough to make the arrest. Not everything for a prosecution, but you have to have enough. And then once the arrest is effectuated, then you go even deeper and you just nail the case down as much as you can before trial. So my mind is now going to, what do they have? What they find in his car when they grabbed it in Illinois, in Rockford, Illinois. What they find in his apartment. What did they get off his electronics? His phone, his laptop, Google searches, geolocating. Did he case their house? Kohberger cased 1122 King Road over and over and over for months before the murders. Did Dr. McKee case that house? Did he drive by as a jilted lover might? Did he do those things? Was he parked there at 3 a.m. staring into the windows? What was he doing up to the murders? Okay. We already know that they have geolocated his vehicle in that neighborhood around the home right before the shooting and right after the shooting. But what about the days leading up to it? What about the morning after? Did he come back and check? If he did this, did he come back and check his handiwork? Did he come back to see the police activity? Did he drive by to be a spectator? Kohberger did it. Kohberger came back.
I mean, this should all be easy enough to know if there was a ring cam. I mean, was there a ring cam? I think they said there was, right?
Back at 9 a.m. I think he was looking for his knife sheath.
Now, the ring cam, if we saw the suspect, was not of their house. I think we do know that. But did they have a ring cam? Anyone in the chat? No.
Not so much looking for police activity. But a lot of times killers do this. They come back and they watch the activity and they kind of like enjoy secretly being behind the scenes, being like, I'm right here and you don't even see me or know it's me. Did he do that? Also, what kind of communications has he been having with Monique Tepe recently? Any? Could it be, if he's guilty, could it be 5 years of just seething anger boiling over in a moment where he might have seen a wedding video online? Or 10 years of anger of losing someone he didn't want to lose? Is that possible? Because again, they're apart 10 years ago. She's married 5 years ago to some new man. So I want to see what the cops are going to find on all his electronics. And by the way, I'd expect right about now, if not already, his practice, where he works, any hospital he works in, there are warrants going up the ass to go through every.
So here's the answer to the question is there is a Ring camera, but more importantly, there's many cameras in the house. So there's probably evidence of this, just like I would presume there's evidence in the Rob Reiner household as well. And, you know, if the guy comes back, probably not going to come through the front door. You would think he would try to come through a back door or something. But again, we don't know. We don't even know if he came back.
Every single computer that he ever used or anybody near him may have used to do Google searches, to do communications, anything like that. All of that will go to motive and will connect him to something if he's the guy, right? This is where they're going to be going with the investigation. I'm also fascinated about the geolocating on the vehicle. I don't know what kind of vehicle it is, specifically what year or what electronics it has, but so many vehicles nowadays, man, they just like leave a popcorn trail everywhere you drive. So that's going to be fascinating just to see the popcorn trail of that vehicle, not only the night of the murders, but everything beforehand and everything afterwards, right? Because that's also a big piece of the puzzle. So long story short, we're only at the beginning of this thing. There's so much more to learn about the why, the how, and the what they're going to do to get a prosecution. Or if they're not going to go to trial, to get, God forbid, a deal, right? I always say God forbid a deal because it leaves so many details away from the public, like Koberger, but it does save the people of the jurisdiction millions and millions of dollars. Here's one more thing I'll say, and that is that Ohio is a death penalty state. I know a lot of states have got moratoriums and they're trying to figure out the drugs or the shooting gallery or whatever they're going to do to execute people, but as it is on the books, Ohio is a death penalty state. And in order to decide whether you're going to charge somebody and seek the death penalty, you got to know, like, it's got to meet some barometer, right? And you got to meet a bar. And this one meets it. Multiple victims, children left orphaned.
Yeah, that'd be a fair debate, right? If he gets convicted, death penalty state, should he get it? I would say people have certainly gotten it for equivalent, even less in some cases.
In the bloodbath, children left at the scene. A 4-year-old who ostensibly may have been able to get up and wander after the gunshots or in the morning and see a bloody mess of the parents. And also the pain and suffering that Monique may have felt. I don't know about Spencer given multiple gunshots, but being shot in the chest may not mean death right away. It may be a few seconds, and that's enough for pain and suffering and heinous, atrocious, cruel elements to apply to aggravators. So these are all the things that I'm just going to go on the record. I would not be the least bit surprised if prosecutors in this case say they are 100% seeking the death penalty, if for the children alone. All right, so make sure you're subscribed because I kind of feel like details are going to come fast and furiously. And
yeah, I could easily see them going for the death penalty there. Absolutely. Oh.
says, hey, it's common for people not to show up. Maybe they overslept, maybe they're sick. Spencer's boss is just so adamant and concerned on this call that Spencer is just not the type of person who is a no-show at work and doesn't tell anyone.
I just know that he is the most, like, he is always on time, and he would contact us if there was any issues whatsoever. And I just don't know how else to say this. Like, we're very, very concerned because this is very out of character. And we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
So this is a question I've had for people also. I might ask Dr. Salerno this the next time I talk to him. But once someone commits an act of murder, like, would you say automatically at that point you do that, you have a personality disorder, or can be a psychopath? And as I asked the question out loud to myself, I think, no, Dr. Salerno probably wouldn't say yes. He could say no, like many are, but maybe not a guarantee. Like you can just be an asshole maybe and kill someone. I don't know. But what do you think?
About 20 minutes later at 9:22, an officer arrived on scene, but no one answered at the couple's home. Now, this is the part of the story where we just got some major context that we're about to talk about. Concerned friends of the Tepes then go to the couple's house, and they say that they heard the children of the Tepes inside the home. So this is around 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, what's the emergency there? Police or medical?
Maybe both, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of
It looks
doing
like
the
we already
wellness.
had a call out there. They knocked on the front door and back door multiple times, and there was no answer.
Yeah, no answer. I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in. At this point, I don't know if I need to break the door in or just get in the house or what. So.
Okay, were you out there when the police was out there?
I wasn't. I just got here about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll send them back out to you.
Then you get another call from Spencer's work.
Our boss did not report to work. We haven't been able to get a hold of him for 3 hours. We are on site and we can hear.
Okay,
kids
I just
inside.
talked to somebody there.
Okay, I'm just making sure somebody called.
5 minutes later, there is another phone call. And this is the phone call where a friend says that they see Spencer Tepe's body.
We've got several calls on that. What's changed since the last person I talked to?
There's a body. There's a body.
There's a body inside?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
And to be clear, like I think most like the personality disorders, they have these inherent traits in them, whether they're a psychopath, narcissist, etc. And many of those people are the ones that do end up committing these crimes. But the question would be, if someone does these crimes, are they automatically those things? I don't really know the answer to that question. Not sure it really matters. But what we do know is if someone has a personality disorder of sorts, that's a very dangerous person, especially the ones that have impaired empathy to no empathy. Those are the most dangerous people there are, regardless of what their label is.
Let me get you on the line with the medic, okay? Stay on the line.
Now, as the caller waits, you can hear what sounds like small children in the background. The Tepe's kids, again, these kids were unharmed.
There's a body. Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here, and he appears dead. There's blood. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood. I can't get closer to see more than that.
Okay, so you can tell he's obviously not breathing or anything.
Yeah.
Is it like kind of like puddle, like, you know, does he look like?
It doesn't. It's puddled. I can't look.
Okay. All right. I understand. Okay. And then when was the last time somebody spoke to him?
Yesterday, I suppose.
Yesterday. Okay. Yeah. How old is he?
37.
37. Okay. Is he like a drug user or anything like that?
No.
Okay. All right. Just that's a really young age.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. All right. We're on our way.
Now, that concerned friend saw.
And that's what I would lean to as well. With abusive people, I would lean to this. It's not that they're not aware, they just don't care. And it's not that they don't see, they disagree. I think that's the majority of the cases. think there could be some cases where maybe some of them see things through a truly distorted lens, but I wouldn't default to that. I would default to no, they're aware. They're aware. But if you have enough experience with abusive people, toxic people, it sure can seem like some of them are truly seeing through a distorted lens. And it's like, okay, is it just the distorted lens, or do they really just buy their own BS? I don't know. It's hard to say.
Spencer's body inside the home.
Caller saying they can hear kids inside. Thought you heard one of them yelling. Now we're getting another call saying there's a body inside. S3 even copy.
Who's saying there's a body inside?
When police went inside the home, they did find Spencer dead, as well as his wife. WSYX TV says that Dr. Tepe was shot multiple times and Monique had at least one gunshot wound to the chest. Police have not said that they have a murder weapon. They do not believe.
By the way, folks, how is the audio for this channel in particular? I only hear this audio from one of my headphones. This is the only channel that's doing that right now. But do you guys hear it okay?
That this is a murder-suicide. Police reportedly recovered a couple 9mm shell casings from the scene. Of course, that is key evidence. That could tell us a lot about the killer, not only as that evidence, but you also have to think, if this was someone who knew how police would investigate this crime and how crime scene investigation works, why would they leave those shell casings behind? But I want to talk about what the police chief of Columbus said about that initial response to those 911 calls, because there's some important context here. Columbus Police Chief Elaine Bryant, it appears, gave one-on-one interviews to local media outlets in Ohio yesterday. We here at Law and Crime, we have reached out to the chief to see if she would like to join us on our show as well. And she said in her interview, this is from 10 TV in Columbus, that they haven't identified a suspect at this point. And as far as the 911 calls, now when I heard that for the first time, where this dispatcher said an officer responded to the Tepe's home when it was just someone calling saying they were concerned because Dr. Tepe didn't show up, I found it a bit confusing as to how the officer didn't find anything, and yet the friend who calls and showed up a short time later ends up getting into the home and finding Spencer's body. But they talk about hearing the Tepe's children inside the house.
Okay.
And my question was, why didn't...
So because of Ashley, we know why that was. Because the cop went to the wrong house. That's why. So what he just said here, Chris, it's because he doesn't know, apparently, what Ashley knows is that he went to the wrong house.
The officer hear any of that?
Am I home?
Oh, this is it. This is the video to the wrong house.
Now, the chief of police told local media in Columbus that this police officer went to the wrong address, and that is the body cam video that we at Law and Crime obtained on Friday. And in this video...
Okay, I take it back. They knew. He was just talking as if he didn't know for some reason.
You can hear the officer whistling. He walks up to the door. He knocks on the door of this home, and nobody answers. He checks out the property, and then he leaves. Now, the Columbus Dispatch is reporting that the house that he went to is on Summit Street, and that street runs parallel to the street where Spencer and Monique Tepe lived. Again, it would be about a half hour after this that the 911 caller would say that he found Spencer Tepe's body, and then police responded after that, and then certainly this story went to a completely different level. The chief also told 10 TV that the 911 caller, the one that you hear, where he says he saw Spencer's body, he actually went inside the home and saw the body. So that means that this person had access to the Tepe's home. Now, the bodies of the Tepes were also reportedly found in a second floor bedroom. Now, to this point, it is still unclear what the motive is for these murders. The chief said that police are still trying to track down surveillance video from people who maybe have it on their homes or maybe a business nearby, anything that...
This was like one of the earlier photos of them. Then just looks like got this boy. You got the boy smile a little bit. I think the motive is probably narcissistic guy loses control, builds resentment, and then lets it out. There's a possibility there might have been some trauma bonds in there too with Monique and him. Sure. But what does that look like? I'm not sure at this juncture. I know they said that she left while he was at work. Monique left that first husband while he was at work, presumably because she's afraid of the reaction of him finding out. So she wants to stay safe. That's true.
Could end up being a clue to crack this case. But they do say that the public has stepped up and has provided a lot of video, and detectives are combing through every single minute of that. Now, there is a police camera as well that is positioned near the Tepe's home. The chief was asked about that and whether that camera caught anything related to the case. The chief would not answer that question directly, just saying they're continuing to pour through countless tips and evidence and videos as they come in from the public. Now, the chief also addressed that 911 call that was made months earlier in her interview with the Columbus Dispatch, the newspaper. Now, this was the call. It ends up going viral. Fox News Digital puts it out, where it's this girl who is crying, and she's saying that she got into some sort of argument with her boyfriend, her husband. She says her man. Again, this was according to Fox News Digital.
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're crying. Do you need police, paramedics, or anything?
No, I'm okay. I'm just emotional.
Now, we have this audio as well, and it's reportedly this call made on April 15th at 2:45 in the morning. April 15th was a Tuesday, and the call is from this woman. She's emotional about having a dispute. Now, the woman you hear on the phone, she says that she and her man got into it, but she also says that she's okay, so police end up canceling the call to send an officer to the house. The dispatch says that that caller never gave her name either, so there's not really any information about who she is or where she went. But again, the chief said that the voice that you hear is not that of Monique Tepe. In fact, the call also may not have even been made from the Tepe's home, because the chief said in more densely populated areas with multiple cell phone towers, like the neighborhood that the Tepes live in, a call from a cell phone can actually be from within a 30-meter radius.
So I take back my strike of Chris Stewart, at least, because he got it right. Law Crime he gets it right. Law and Crime Network gets it right.
Call could have been made from somewhere around the Tepe's home, but not in the Tepe's home. Now, the chief also told the Columbus Dispatch that there is no history of calls from the Tepe's address or related to the Tepe's. Now, the chief continues to urge patience in this investigation. She says that the department is being as transparent as they possibly can while they're continuing to maintain the integrity of the investigation. Joining us now is retired detective commander with the Chicago Police Department, Will Svilar. Always great to have you on Law and Crime, and you've been great in helping us understand this story as it's continued to unfold. Before we dive into what the chief had to say in these kind of one-on-one interviews it appears she gave to some of the local media outlets there, what is it like right now in the Detective Bureau in Columbus as the days go on?
You know, they're running out all these leads. They're, based what I saw in that interview with the chief, they've got some leads. They're going in a specific direction on this. But as a detective, all you want to do is work on your case. You don't want all the distractions from the outside, and that's where your layer of supervision comes in. My job as a supervisor was to give my detectives all the tools they needed so they could do their job, and I'll handle all the other stuff. So they're doing their job, and I think the chief did a good thing by going, and the deputy chief did a good thing by going on TV.
Yeah, because I think you look at, there's just been some silence, and you want police spending more time investigating a crime and hopefully solving a crime than needing to answer questions from the media. But there's just been so much speculation, especially in the online space, with what potentially happened. There were two pieces of information, at least two to me, that stood out that she confirmed through some of the local media stations. It was Channel 10 that said that the Tepes were both found upstairs in a bedroom, so second floor, and that the 911 caller, when you listen to that call and the person who calls back and says there is a body here, that is someone who's actually inside the house. It was unclear before whether maybe they saw through a window or something like that, but they were actually able to go into the home. What does that tell you?
So obviously they know this person. Whoever went into their home knows this person well enough to either know where a key is or know the code to get into the house. So this is a pretty close friend. Now, I was a little confused when I listened to the 911 calls as well, because it sounded like one of the callers said, I hear babies crying, but I can't get in. Now, my question is that the same caller who says they're on the second floor invisible? Because that's kind of contradictory of what happened. If you're in there, you're in there. are you taking the kids out, removing them from that? I mean, those things are a little up in the air for me, and I wasn't clear on it when I listened to the 911 calls.
Yeah, it was definitely part because I remember the first time I listened to the 911 call, just even, it kind of goes into the part we'll talk about with the initial officer went to the wrong home apparently. And
so again, we don't really even know that much about the Tepes either. We see these wedding pictures, but we don't know. We don't really know them. People can presume from how they look and how they look in these pictures, but behind closed doors can be a different story. That can be true with anyone. Even if it's not narcissistic people, it can be true.
Because you could hear the kids in the background of the call, and I wasn't sure if it was like they were on the door and then this 911 caller's on the outside. So there's still some questions as far as kind of just the layout, and we'll get the context eventually on all of this. Knowing that the Tepes were in their bedroom, because before when it was like no forced entry, it was like, did someone come to the house? They had some sort of conversation, and maybe they did, but now we're thinking, according to police, 2 and 5 in the morning in a bedroom upstairs. So potentially sleeping when this happened. The fact that she's upstairs as well, it seems they're both shot in the bedroom, but then there's that no forced entry part of it. I guess as you're piecing together the steps of what potentially happened, like how do those pieces of information kind of factor into what you're thinking?
I mean, the no forced entry is a huge part of it. The condition of the home is a huge part of it. The location of the bodies are all huge parts of it. And it would suggest the person had knowledge of, 1, how to get into the house. 2, what bedroom that the Tepes were in, possibly. So it kind of suggests that maybe this is somebody that knows the layout of the house at least, or certainly the code to get in, or they had some kind of relationship with the Tepes. That's what I think.
And, we have the biggest piece of information that we have at this point is that person of interest video, that person walking down the alleyway. They're not looking at the camera, maybe hiding their face from the camera. But police were pretty clear in the interview that the chief gave to the local media that they have tips. Like they have tips that have come in. Detectives are going through the video right now, trying to figure things out. And then part of me is like, and we don't know if they have more videos of this person of interest, but my question would be like, why not put out more of them if they actually do, if they have as much video as they say that they have? And maybe they don't have, I will say, like, maybe they just don't have any more video of the guy, but if they do, why would you withhold that information?
Good question. If they're withholding that information, there's a reason for it. It's not that they're trying to keep the public in the dark, but maybe they're trying to not tip who they're looking at. So again, to have just one piece of information like that, just one piece of.
Yeah. And that footage of that guy walking, he looks very intentional in the fact that he's looking down, hood up. That's someone that doesn't want to be identified. But unluckily for him, that he got identified via his car parked around the corner.
Someone walking down the alley behind the residence. It seems like there'd be more. There's cameras everywhere. There's, in the service that I have with my doorbell, Ring doorbell thing, there's a neighborhood app where if somebody walks down the street sideways, somebody's getting on, making a comment saying, hey, there's somebody walking down the street. You know what I mean? So there's got to be more. There's got to be a reason why they're holding up that information. And she kind of alluded to that. She said, there are things we can't tell you. And that would be because it would compromise the investigation.
The other question that I think I would have, which is always one that comes out in news conferences, and maybe it was a strategic move just to kind of do a one-on-one with a journalist for a period of time, as opposed to opening it up. And then you have just people from all over the place in the media asking and shouting questions. The question of, I think the question is, like, is the community safe? Is always that question that puts, I think, law enforcement in a really tough position when you ask it as a member of the media, because the question is, do you know who this person is? Was this an isolated incident, or is this a Jack the Ripper situation where this is someone who is just out?
It seems like this segment was recorded before the arrest, because what they're talking about doesn't add up with the ex-husband being arrested. So this video is a little disjointed here. In the beginning, they say, oh, yes. So what probably happened was they had this part recorded, and then new breaking news came. So they included the breaking news in the beginning of the video. And they said, well, we still have this footage. We want to use it. So we'll just put it on the end of the video.
out and about, and you should be afraid if you're Columbus, if you're in Columbus, Ohio, that someone's going to come in your door at night. I'm not trying to sound sensational when I say it, but the fact that they haven't said that that's the situation, also they haven't said that it's a targeted incident. What does that tell you?
Well, you're absolutely right about that. When you talk about, and again, we look back on some of the internet sleuths that are out there saying, hey, listen, there was somebody tried to break into a house, months or a couple of weeks before this, pounding on the door. Is this related? If you don't answer that question for the public, they're going to keep looking into stuff like that. Is there a 911 call from that house back in 2025? All this is speculation because people don't know. And the tightrope you have to walk as a supervisor in this situation, or as when you're in law enforcement, is what do we tell the public? How do we ease the public's mind? And by the way,
everyone's favorite hidden true crime has a video. Lauren, people don't like her though. There was one more who I've never watched before. It was at the end of the Ashley video. It was at the bottom. It was something law. We'll see. Let's see if I can find it.
If you think that there's somebody out there doing these things, you absolutely tell the public that. That's why I believe they've got some very definite leads.
Yeah, and certainly that's the hope now, a week into it. And then you also just feel like, I just keep going back to these are all new build homes. Everybody has, not everybody, but a lot of those homes. And you could see a neighbor, whoever took that video.
I'm no longer really a fan of most of the self-aware narcissists. Because with most of them, they wind up proving to me why they're narcissists. And so in the beginning, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, and then I get burned. So the only one I don't feel that way about is H.G. Tudor, believe it or not. I've never had a problem with him. Very straightforward for everything. The rest of them, those of whom I will not mention, they try to suck you into insanity and try to smear you, and it just becomes a mess. So I'm not a fan of that.
Nest camera. It appears from the video we've seen that the Tepes had a Ring doorbell camera, whatever the brand is, on the front. So you have to feel good. And then there's also the police video that the chief won't confirm whether or not that police camera was operating and captured anything as well. That 911 call, and people can find it online, the most recent one that came out, and it's this person who called police between 2 and 5 in the morning on, they say, just down the street. Fox News Digital had it. And it's this person calling saying that someone was banging on the back door, and then that person goes away. I think Fox had said it was a 3-minute walk from the Tepe's house. We don't know if that's connected to anything related to this, but I also think in a city, a 3-minute walk can change the type of neighborhood you're in very quickly. And you're in Chicago. I mean, that's as dense a city as there is, along with New York. How do you take these calls? Maybe it's the 911 call of the crying woman, but that may or may not have been at the Tepe's house. Then there's this other call from this person saying,
what do you mean, Serrera? That's exactly what we're saying. I've said that the narcissistic ex did it. I mean, that's what it looks like. Why would you think I didn't think that? Nope, I have not seen that yet, Christy. Vinnie Politan has a good one.
Big, huge, big breaking news in the case involving Ohio dentist Spencer Tepe and his wife, Monique.
So what I don't understand is, Serrera, why are you saying that? We haven't been talking about that the entire time. That's what we've been talking about. The ex was arrested. and he was probably narcissistic. So I don't know why you're talking about like I haven't been talking about that.
There has been an arrest. And it was someone people were talking about, but you don't want to defame people. You don't want to slander people, but this looked targeted, and it seems it was very targeted. Prosecutors, law enforcement now believes that it is Monique Tepe's ex-husband, Michael David McKee, who was responsible for this horrific crime. The question I still have is, how did he get inside the house, right? How did he get inside? But this is the way the arrest went down and the investigation went down. They used the video, right? They released the images that they had, but they had more. We knew they had more, but they released enough in case someone recognized this person to make their investigation go quicker. But they were able to follow the suspect going one way towards the house, then video of him leaving, and then following him all the way to the car. Then they've got a license plate reader on the car. Then they track the license plate or tag, depending upon which part of the country you're in, to Illinois. They go to Illinois and they confirm who it is, and it is in fact the ex. And what's really bizarre about all this is the timing of it. She'd been married for 5 years. How bitter was this guy?
Married for 5 years. It's been 8 years since she was married to the other guy.
How much of a loser is he? And you look at the mugshot, compare the mugshot to the wedding shot, right? So this is when he got married, Dr. and Mrs. McKee, right? We're looking at 10 years ago here. Is that what it is? I think it's 10 years ago, 2015. And now you look at what he looks like. Unbelievable, right? And they don't have children together. It was like a 7-month marriage. It didn't last long. Like, where did this come from? Why at this particular time? Was it festering that bad? Like, how bad could your life be? You're a doctor. Move on. My goodness, she's got a family. She's got kids. Stop. What is wrong with you? You know, a lot of times we see exes, it's always.
And again, what did I say before? When you think about a narcissistic person, it's all about power, control, managing their image, narcissistic supply, and avoiding accountability. So when a narcissistic person loses control, they can't stand it. They become furious, might give them a narcissistic injury, might even give them a narcissistic collapse if it's bad enough. It sounds like this divorce might have went into narcissistic collapse territory for him. So over that time, maybe Monique's in a trauma bond with him. She breaks it. And at best for her, I would say she's maybe no contact with him the entire time. He just never gets over it, builds the resentment, and just kills her. Another possibility is that maybe the trauma bond is going on and there could be some back and forth. That does happen too. Takes on average 7 times to leave an abusive relationship. So yes, that can also happen. But also to note, when she leaves so that she gets away while the ex is at work, that shows that she's scared of the reaction, right? So again, people can do the right thing. It doesn't mean the trauma bond's always broken, but it's usually a good sign that they really mean it, that they want to get out, because they did. They're probably not going to be able to be on good terms after that in any way if you have to sneak out to leave.
Always like there's a battle, a fight over the kids. There's custody issues, still some resentment and bitterness. But this is 5 years later. She's moved.
And where did you hear that she had to sneak out to leave the ex? I heard about after 7 months, the marriage ended, but it wasn't official until 2 years. And then there was a rubber stamp on that divorce.
Don, your marriage was months, a decade ago. Come on. And you couldn't allow her to be happy. You couldn't allow her to raise a family. You couldn't allow those children to grow up with a loving mother and a loving father in an amazing house. You just couldn't. This one gets me angry.
I mean, he's acting surprised, but he's just making it sound like, to me, he doesn't really understand narcissists and antisocial personality disorder and psychopaths. Because if you understand them, this is the norm. This is the norm in this space. It doesn't necessarily always end in this, but it usually ends in some freaking chaos and some pain for sure. It just usually doesn't end in murder, but it definitely can. But it definitely can. Clearly.
This one, there's no connection. There's no nexus. It's over. Your life with her is over. You had an opportunity. It didn't work out. For whatever reason. Need to move on. Apparently
he's kind of just moralizing about it, but like, you can't speak reason to narcissists. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
Viewer discretion advised.
So again, before we start this, you can't treat narcissists like they're normal humans. You can't be good faith with them. I just recently made some shorts about this. Why? Because they're going to take advantage of you being understanding. They're going to take advantage of you trying to work things out with them and get to the bottom of things. That's not what they want to do. They want to win. They want to get their way. They want to be in control and all of the things I said before. That's what they want. So you can't expect them to want the same things that you want. So the big thing is accepting what they can't be. That's a big thing I see people struggle with. They want to treat that person like a normal person, and you just can't. You just can't. You have to see them in black and white first, too. I'm going to make a video about this soon, too, because it's necessary. I used to try to say, now nuance is good, but in this one case, no. Because if you give them too much nuance in the beginning, that's their wiggle room to manipulate you more. That's their wiggle room to abuse you more. So no, in the beginning, you need black and white. Nope, they're a narcissist. The end. The end. Treat them as that. That's what you need.
If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Is okay. This is Grizzly True Crime, and today we have some news in the Tepe murders case. The Ohio couple, the Ohio dentist Spencer Tepe and his wife Monique, who were
I like her look. I like the dark hair and glasses there.
murdered on December 30th of 2025. And remember, we've seen surveillance of a person of interest, and then we heard very little else from the police, besides a small press conference, but there wasn't much information there, right? And now, today, on January 10th of 2026, an arrest has been made, and the person arrested is the ex-husband of Monique Tepe. Like, oh my goodness. And I mean, they got divorced in 2017. We're going to go over the exact dates now. Wow. Quite hectic, right? So, you know, when we were all thinking, sorry, I just want to turn my mic down a bit. It's just distorting a second there. Sure, we were all thinking, well, it has to be someone they know, right? This seems very targeted. It has to be.
Her accent is like in England, but it's a certain version of England that doesn't have, like, there's certain versions of the British accent that's like very charismatic sounding. Hers sounds more like my old friend Melanie Amadine. She's got that like flatter version of it. Check out my interview with her, by the way. She is also on the autistic spectrum. It's years ago now that we did this. In fact, though, it's not even on my channel. Now that I think of it, it's on her channel. But we talked to her. This is like 4 years ago now.
Somebody who might even know the code to the front door, or who would get, you know, one of them to open the door or something. But wow, to think that Monique and Spencer were murdered and their two kids, shame, aged 4 and 1, were left in the house, which thankfully they're alive, right? But oh my word, what a shock, what a shocking crime. And he lives in Illinois, so he would have traveled like 5.5 hours to get to their house. Wow. Okay, so on January 10th of 2026 today, as we know, the murders occurred December 30th. So that's actually a really quick investigation and arrest. And Michael David McKee, 39, was arrested in Illinois. He's the ex-husband of victim Monique Tepe, 39. So they're both 39, Monique and her ex-husband. And they say, according to court documents, the Columbus Police Homicide Unit launched an investigation identifying a suspect vehicle through neighborhood surveillance. The vehicle was found in Rockford, Illinois. Yeah, that's where he's from. Well, that's where he lives now, with evidence linking Michael David McKee to its possession after the homicides. Wow. Now, I do want to say that there will be updates, okay? There's probably going to be a press conference at some point. I was quite hopeful that it'll be today, but I'm not sure if it'll be today. Don't know if it'll be tomorrow or on Monday when he's in court. That's when he's going to be in court, okay? So please monitor the comment section. I always pin my own comment on top because that's normally where I put the timestamps, but that's also where I keep you posted. Let's say if later they say there's a press conference, then you can see in the pinned comments, okay, next live stream is here, or the press conference here, or the next update. I will pin it for you, okay? So, because we're going to have to keep an eye on this. I mean, we don't have all the documents yet, the probable cause affidavit, we've got arrest documents like this, the warrant for this guy's arrest, and he is in custody. But there's going to be a lot more, I'm sure, coming out over time. Welcome, Sharon. Welcome, everyone. Please like and share. It's not about liking the topic. It's just to get the word out, in case anyone hasn't seen this news. Okay, so there's his mugshot. Wow, and this is a picture of Monique and Michael McKee. And he's a doctor. He's a surgeon. So not that that matters. I'm just like, wait, who is he? Where is he from? What happened? Okay, so Michael McKee attended medical school at the Ohio State University College of Medicine and Public Health. He graduated.
On a side note, Chicago, Illinois, man charged after over 100 human remains found in his Pennsylvania home. Wow. Interesting.
Graduated in 2014, and he was married to Monique from August 22nd of 2015 until June 16th of 2017. So it definitely wasn't the longest marriage. I'm not sure the exact reason why they got divorced. They did not have children together. This is all public record. Thank you so much to Grizzly Cat for helping me to, gather as much information, especially from the court system, as possible right now, because there's not much coming from the police right now at this moment when we're live. I'm sure there will be. Definitely, right? Welcome, Karen, as well. So it says type of case, divorce, no children. And you can see here, remember they got divorced June 16th of 2017. Divorce decree, terminate the case, notice of final appealable order, motion to refer back to domestic court, memo in support. So it's just like going through the court system. I find it interesting that here from the 17th of June of 2025, there's this continuance, original copy of hearing notice filed, and then it says strike the scheduled date. So I don't know what was reinitiated, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes there, especially in this guy's mind. Of course, he's innocent or proven.
What I would suspect is it sounds like a toxic relationship. It sounds like he was a narcissistic person. And we're assuming he's the narcissistic person, right? I mean, it's possible more than one narcissistic person can be there as well. That's possible. But his mask comes off 7 months in, if not sooner, after the marriage. And so they end it very quickly after it started. But it's not officially ended until 2 years later.
Guilty in a court of law, but what is going on here? I mean, to think that they got divorced in 2017 and at the end of 2025, he's accused of murdering his ex-wife and her husband. And remember that little detail where they said that Monique was shot at least once in the chest, but that Spencer was shot multiple times? That's also interesting, right? Okay. Melissa K says court divorce document says reason is incompatible. Interesting. Yeah, and Stefan said there's a gap between 2018 and 2025, right? Okay, so yeah, someone says he was arrested, not convicted. I said arrested, right? He was arrested. He's in custody. Okay, so it says accepting new patients, 12 years of experience, Ohio State University College of Medicine and Public Health. This is a picture of him. Michael McKee is a vascular surgeon in Peoria, Illinois. His top areas of expertise are varicose veins, end-stage renal disease, and peripheral artery disease. Dr. McKee is currently accepting new patients. So there are a couple of Dr. McKees, if you look up that name, even Dr. David McKee, but this is his page and apparently his picture. So he remains jailed in Winnebago County, Illinois, pending extradition to Franklin County, Ohio for formal proceedings. He will be in court on Monday, January 12th of 2026. So Michael David McKee, mugshot, copyright Winnebago County Sheriff's Office. They say, so you know that that's from them. And there's a picture of Spencer, 37, and Monique Tepe, 39. Wow. Okay. And so if you know the timeline, it was on January 30th of 2021. So if we look at when Michael...
So think, their marriage ended 8 years ago. Monique and this guy, 2017. This had happened at the very end of 2025 or the very beginning of 2026. It's a long time. It's a long time to be nursing that resentment there. But again, just like we say with narcissists, though, the Hoovers can happen decades later. Decades. 30 years, 40 years. So, and most times they will Hoover. And technically, you might call this a Hoover. Right? It's a fatal Hoover, but a Hoover nonetheless.
Got divorced. Michael and Monique got divorced in 2017. And then in 2021, Spencer and Monique got married in a private ceremony at their home, the home that they were killed in. That's where they got married. There was North 4th Street in Columbus, Ohio's Wineland Park neighborhood. They shared a family-focused life, would have approached their 5th wedding anniversary. So they also got killed right before their 5th wedding anniversary. You know, that was coming up as well. So, and they've got 2 children, age 1 and 4, who were found in the house. And they also had a golden doodle that was also found alive in the house. So there's not many details released of where, you know, the kids were found and where the golden doodle was found and all that. Now, we've gone over this.
I mean, I imagine the friends, like the friend that's found the body, I imagine they scooped the kids at that point too, right? You would think.
Timeline before. So check out the previous episode, right, of just who Monique was, who Spencer was, and you know, just all this information that they had released. So they say the crime occurred between 2 and 5 a.m. and investigators estimate that Spencer and Monique were murdered in that time frame. And then they released that footage of that person of interest. And I do wonder if it will turn out that that person of interest is somebody completely different who was just having a walk, you know, or will it turn out to be the ex-husband? Okay, so there were no signs of forced entry. No firearm was recovered at the scene. Shell casings were found, and with Spencer sustaining multiple gunshot wounds and Monique at least 1. And remember, they've got like a digital key code on their door. So I'm wondering, it would be less likely that he knew the code because, you know, they got divorced quite some time ago. It might be a case of, I'm outside your house. So imagine then the cell phone evidence. Imagine the Google searches. Maybe he looked up Monique repeatedly. Maybe he was super jealous of this new marriage and the kids and everything. I don't know. Or maybe there's more going on behind the scenes. I don't know. But wow, very, very scary. So to think.
So Zelda, that's actually a very good point too. So maybe the ex-husband was just broken up with and lost control of a recent girlfriend. And so that's like spun him into a rage. And he was like, you know what? Screw them all. I can't control this one, so I'll go back and do this. That's certainly possible.
I think maybe he just said, look, man, I'm outside your house. Can we talk? And then maybe Monique opened the door or something, because the killer definitely went in to the house. And they were found At least we know that Spencer was found in their bedroom based on what the 911 caller said, right? That went into the house. So we don't know yet exactly where Monique was found in the house.
In terms of Grannon and Vaknin, people talking about it in the chat, I mean, neither one of them are licensed professionals. It's a weird thing because Sam Vaknin has a PhD in physics, and he is a professor of psychology. But I don't think he would be able to do that in America. He's only able to do that because of where he is. And again, I'm not a licensed professional either. So to me, that doesn't discredit anyone, whether it's Grannon or Vaknin or whomever, right? They're just like me, basically. Now, Sam Vaknin, his book, Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited, it's a good book. I read it. I enjoyed it. Licensed professionals aren't always the biggest fan of his because he likes to kind of take credit for some things. Like, I invented the term narcissistic abuse. And I think some professionals don't like that. Some professionals, like, they learn from him. I think they might begrudgingly learn from him, but I think they do. I've learned a lot from him over the years. I don't agree with necessarily every single thing he says. The big thing I differ with him on is narcissists are just people that don't individuate from the mother. No, I do not buy that. I think that is in contrast to the genetic part. That's why I don't agree with that.
Okay, so I do want to show you, I won't go over the whole timeline again now. I'll show you this as well so you can see it's official, Winnebago County Sheriff's Office. I mean, I've been monitoring the news and, you know, all the live streams and things as well, but I wanted to, of course, wait for something official, you know, something to hold on to, because the police, even if I refresh here now, I'm just waiting for the Columbus Division of Police to say something. They haven't said anything yet, but at least we do have official court records, and the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office has put this mugshot up and said, Michael David McKee, booking date 1/10/2026, 11:57 a.m. 39, 6'1", 200 pounds, white with hazel eyes and brown hair. Next court date, January 12th of 2026 at 1:30 p.m. It says custody status hold out of state. Bail amount reflects the actual amount needed for release, and there's nothing there. So I'm guessing bail amount is nothing, right? Okay, so we've got that one, and here's the summary of the case so far. And let me just quickly, I don't want to miss this. So let me just quickly see what Mo says. In the, I don't want to say it wrong, Inuit culture, people with the same name are one entity. Mo is for short, Monique, as an entity. I promise to be a better baker in her honor. Okay, thank you so much for your sticker. I really appreciate your support. So here we go with the Franklin County Municipal Court Clerk case information. State of Ohio plaintiff versus McKee, comma, Michael David. So this was also like, oh my word, it's definitely official now, hey? Wow, okay. So filed 1/10/2026.
What we do here is we break down all the content. Now, fair use says this is what people do. They break down people's videos and give their commentary. It's what I do to many channels.
Party type defendant, issue date 1/10/2026, warrant issued Columbus. So Michael David McKee, North Lincoln Park, it's been redacted, but he lives in Chicago, Illinois. But I think he had previously lived in Ohio when he was with Monique, right? And he studied there as well. Anyway, so he lives in Chicago and he's a doctor there, a surgeon. Imagine, like someone said before I started the live, I just saw one of the messages saying, imagine hearing that your surgeon has been arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder. I mean, that must be shocking in itself, right? Wow. Okay. Is anyone shocked? You know, are you shocked at this news, or did you maybe suspect a little bit? I mean, I don't know. I guess, you know, there was a lot of speculation online as this case gained traction on social media. So I think everybody's looking at every 9.
And honestly, this is my first time even watching Grizzly True Crime. I haven't really watched much of her. I'm still assessing what I even think of her. She seems detailed. As far as the other videos go, I think we learned more from them so far, but we'll see. This video is only 12 minutes in out of 31.
On one caller, like what is going on here. And I do know the ex-husband was brought up a little bit. I just thought, what?
So she goes into more like of the fine details of some of the stuff. I think that's something the other channels didn't do as much of.
The ex-husband? Like, why? They got divorced long ago, man. Long ago. What do you mean? Wow. And the ex-husband was arrested. Forrest Nelson said, been a great 2 years. An angry ex was not on my bingo card. All right. I mean, it makes sense. It's just that, wow. Interesting. Okay. So anyway, North 4th Street, you can see it says there everything. And here, this is where it says that he's alert issued, warrant issued on 110. And it's for 2 counts of murder. You can see it right here. Right? Okay, so we have that. And then there was this incident report as well from the 30th of December of 2025. Victims Spencer Tepe and Monique Tepe, age 37 and 39.
So December 30th, 2025. So they didn't make it into 2026. I was curious about that.
Says on December 30th of 2025 at approximately 10:04 a.m., Columbus police patrol officers were dispatched to the 1400 block of North 4th Street on a well-being check. Officers arrived on the scene and located 2 adult victims suffering apparent gunshot wounds. CFD Medic 7 personnel arrived and pronounced both victims deceased at 10:11 a.m. The victims are identified as Mr. Spencer Tepe and Mrs. Monique Tepe. Next of kin have been notified. 2 small children were also found in the residence unharmed. Was the dog found in the house? Yeah, no? Wow. Okay. So, yeah, I'd be very interested to learn more about this as we go, right? Now, this was one of the first articles that came out that I'm like, oh my word, local news is talking about it now too, you know? I like to wait, right? I'm cautious. I'm like, wait, are you sure? Are you sure, guys? But here, then the Columbus Dispatch said, ex-husband charged with murder in the deaths of Vineland Park couple. The ex-husband of a woman found shot to death with her new husband December 30th, but they were married for almost 5 years. In Vineland Park has been charged with murder in their deaths. Michael David McKee faces 2 counts of murder. According to Franklin County Municipal Court documents, according to online records, the warrant was issued as we just went over. I'm just showing you the official, there's local news, there's court records, there's mugshots flying. We just don't have much word from the police yet at this time of this live stream. So maybe there will be an update soon. I really hope so, right? It remains unclear as of 1:30 whether the police had arrested. They have. They've arrested him. He's in custody. He's innocent or proven guilty in a court.
So far, my favorites are, I like Brian Etten. I think he generally does a good job. I think the woman Maureen he has, the former FBI agent, does a good job. I think Law and Crime Network does a good job. Who else? Some of the doctors. I like Bruce Rivers. I think he gives some fair and balanced takes. Dr. Grande, I mean, he doesn't really go in as much depth, but he does give he covers broad things now. And he's good for 10 to 15 minutes of a topic, whether it's the Minnesota ICE shooting or this or whatever. Who else? We'll also watch Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. That's fine. I like his theatrical performance. And there's a bunch. There's a bunch of people out there now we've been listening to on the channel. I wrote them all down. Popcorn Planet, Crime Talk, Mike King. We haven't watched as much Vinny either. HG Tudor, also a friend of the channel, by the way.
Court of law. That is what we know so far. They said he was not listed, but he is now. He's now listed, right? No, for sure. Thank you for being here.
I'm nervous about playing court TV because I don't know if I would get copyright strike for doing that. Like, if you do something that's from the TV, that's not allowed. But other YouTube channels, it is allowed. So let me know about court TV.
And a member for 29 months, you said, not at all shocked. If anything, this was the most logical answer. It's usually an ex-partner or a secret lover.
And Mike King is coming on the show the end of January. Connor Beaton from Man Talks is coming this upcoming week. Man Talks, Instagram and YouTube. Dr. Salerno, we're going to go over his new book, Cruelty by Nature. That's in a couple weeks. A bunch of things to go over here.
Right, stranger danger is actually the least common. This was such a weird crime. It's like, it was so strange. It is still so strange, so mysterious. I'm like, wait, what? Why would someone between 2 and 5 a.m. how did they get in the house? Did they know the code? Could it have been someone that they'd partied with before? Is it someone they knew? Now the ex-husband's been arrested. Wow. Southern Calibre said, I thought someone was maybe stalking her. I mean, that's what I was thinking as well. And maybe it will turn out that is still true. Maybe he was a little bit, maybe he was obsessing a little bit. Now we're speculating. Okay, I don't know that. I'm just trying to think about it, like what's going on here. Hope 8 Fear, thank you for being a member for 36 months. You said don't forget to hit that like. Okay, so I mean, the rest that we know here, they said, I'm just going to go over this again for anyone who missed it. Columbus homicide detectives identified McKee through neighborhood video surveillance. So that little bit that they released, that's all we got. They got so much more, of course. The police have been working hard behind the scenes, right? Police alleged in court documents, they tracked the suspect to a vehicle which arrived just prior to the homicides and left shortly after. If you saw my appearance on Courtroom Confidential, Josh Ritter and I, we were brainstorming big time.
So I used to record them and do them live with people. I stopped doing that. I record them now. But occasionally I've been wondering about bringing some guests in here occasionally to do part of the live. I don't know if it'd be too much, though, with the chat and having another person up here with me and going down over a video. I don't know if that's too much. So when I talk to Mike King, it's going to be one-on-one, probably recorded. Same with Connor Beaton, same with Dr. Salerno. So those productions are more formal.
In this case, we're like, what? And like, okay, did they track that person to a vehicle? Did they have a vehicle? Can they somewhere see that the person got into a vehicle? And can they find that vehicle? So yeah, the guy, I don't know if the person of interest will turn out to be the ex-husband or not. But he definitely got there in a vehicle because he lives almost 6 hours away, right? So that's a pretty determined person then, which will show, of course, premeditation, because he had a long time to think about it. Long time, almost 6 hours to think about what you have allegedly done. Debbie, welcome. So, yeah, it says they tracked the suspect to a vehicle which arrived just prior to the homicides and left shortly after. They found the vehicle in Rockford, Illinois, and found evidence that McKee had the vehicle before and after the killings. Is it a rental vehicle? Sometimes we read between the lines. He had the vehicle before and after the killings. Oh, okay.
I mean, here's the thing. If this guy did it and he gets convicted, it's very likely that the prosecution recommends the death penalty. I think it's on the table considering the circumstances.
Columbus police have not publicly identified a potential motive in the couple's deaths. I mean, we could speculate. Is it jealousy? What is it? I could only think of really obsession, jealousy, unless there's fights over money or property or something with a divorce. I don't know, but jealousy seems quite up there as a possibility for me based on Spencer being shot multiple times. And as was reported, we don't know those details yet. We don't like autopsy reports, but Monique being shot at least once in the chest. Whoa. And then Spencer shot multiple times. So jealous of Spencer would be my speculation, right?
It's probably envious is the word. Well, no, I guess jealousy makes sense. And you're afraid to lose something you have. But I think it's really about the losing control. That's really what it is. You lose control. You don't want anyone else to have what you can't have. If they can't control you, they'll settle for controlling how others see you or making you miserable. And at worst, they'll do this.
Okay, so we know the rest. The rest we've seen, and yeah, they don't, unfortunately, say anything about a press conference. Here's also the mugshot shared and everything. And ex-husband charged with murder in connection to the deaths in Wyandotte Park couple. Now, while we are here together, I just quickly want to see, because they did say there will be like a media release or something coming up, about an hour ago, they said in the next hour. So I'm just quickly going to check if there's anything while we are here together. So just stand by with me.
And on the move, I get what you're saying. So he says, or she says, I don't know which one. It boggles my mind how someone can take revenge 8 years after a divorce. They must have had some communication recently. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, they can nurse a resentment for that long. But also, I mean, it's possible they've communicated since then. That's possible too. Especially if there was some sort of trauma bond going on. I'm not completely ruling it out.
Let's refresh this article with all the local news. Word sleuth said Mike felt betrayed and it was revenge, in my opinion. I mean, it could be. It really could be, right? Wow. Which is just horrendous. I mean, Monique had clearly moved on with her life and was very happy with her new husband, 2 children, I mean, that are now without parents. That is so sad. P3 fam said, remember in Spencer's boss 911 call when he mentioned it was most concerning that Monique was not answering her phone. I wondered if he knew that she was being harassed or stalked. I do remember him saying that. Now, if you guys haven't seen, I put a community post up where I had shared the compilation, of the 911 calls and the surveillance footage. It's an unlisted video, but it's shared on the community post. So if you want to go watch it again, it's also in the pinned comments of the last one. I'll pin it in this one as well, right? So check the pinned comments for updates, just in case you want to hear those calls again or watch the surveillance footage again. Not that I think it helps us at this point. I think we'll have to wait to see what the police say. Thank you so much, P3 fam, right? This rumor, Miss Ladybug, has been debunked online. People have debunked it. It's a different guy with the same name. So there's a lot of rumors, as I say, about this, right? Grizzly Cat's got a phone. Is there something? Is there a new call? Is there something? Who's phoning what? Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, let's see. The Columbus, I want to refresh this as well to see if I can show it to you guys here. Just wait. Yes. Okay. Stand by. Finally, do we have something? Columbus Division of Police. Okay, that was from January 6th. Here we go. Finally, are they going to say something? Here we are. Okay, homicide update. The Columbus Division of Police continues to actively investigate the homicide of Spencer and Monique Tepe. An arrest warrant was issued for Michael D. McKee for murder. He was taken into custody without incident in Rockford, Illinois. So, we do not compromise the active and ongoing case progress. Information will be released.
So here's what I would wonder also, right? Like, was there evidence of him at the crime scene? So there were the shells, right? The shells weren't cleaned up, which spoke to not a professional. He wasn't a professional. He's a doctor himself, vascular surgeon. Was there any hair, DNA? Or is it truly just the car? And they think, well, this happened. The car was there before and after. And that's it. That's enough to connect the dots.
As appropriate. Anyone with information from this incident is asked to contact the Columbus Police Homicide Tip Line. Ma'am or sir, can we have a press conference? We all want to know what? Like, I know we want to know more. Well, they're not going to tell us more now. Of course, they're going to protect the investigation. And Michael McKee is going to be in court on Monday, and he has to be extradited to Franklin County, Ohio. So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Grizzly Cat, for that alert. KT06, thanks for being a member for 36 months. He said, hope all you Grizzlies are having a good weekend. This community is truly like an online family. I love it here. Thank you so much. So there, riveting, what we've been waiting for. But, really, this news is like, wow. Yeah, Terry Cat says no press conference. I've been looking for what feels like hours at this point. I'm like, is there one press conference, anything? Maybe on Monday. Sometimes in high profile cases like this, they pause, they wait to see the guy, back in Ohio and in their custody and in court and arraigned. And then maybe, I don't know if it'll be sealed or not. Will they release the probable cause affidavit? Maybe. And will they then have a press conference? Sometimes they might wait until it's, that he's officially charged in Ohio and then arraigned. Sharon said, time flies. Thank you.
Why is this a high profile case? Probably because attractive couple that is young leaving behind 2 kids. Affluent always contributes as well.
Okay, well, thanks for being a member for 7 months. Okay, so I think I've got everything now. I'm just quickly going to do one more round. Okay, just wait 1 second. I just want to make sure that we've got everything, because sometimes with these local articles, that just the last line will update and say something new. And you're like, okay, wait, what? They did say that the family of the victims had confirmed that, yeah, that is Monique's ex-husband. So if anyone has any doubts, that's him. Yes. Okay. So there's nothing new at this point in time. That's all I could tell you. I wish I could tell you more. I also want to know more. I've got questions, right? Wow. Someone says, Mrs. Angels, I'm wondering if the 4-year-old opened the door while they slept. It's possible. I think it's unlikely, though. I think it might have been, did he break into the house at the back or something? Because there's cameras in the front, There's cameras in the front of the neighbor's house. I think there's cameras by their house, too. There's cameras around there, all over there. A lot of the houses have cameras. So did he, break into the house through the back? Possible. How do we know? Or did he call Monique and say, I'm standing outside your house, better come talk to me? Maybe he'd been trying to reach her for a long time. Maybe he'd been stalking her, for all we know. We're all going to be, our minds are going to go crazy. It's going to keep us up at night, okay? Until we know what the heck. But at the end of the day, I'm very glad. It actually happened really quickly, with the murders taking place on December 30th of 2025. And by January 10th, I know for us, I guess, I don't know, for people online, it feels like it's taking forever. But sometimes something like this, like if you think of the Idaho 4 case, that took 6 weeks to get to an arrest. This was really not long. From December 30th to January 10th, my goodness, to me, that tells me that they've got some strong evidence that they would have had surveillance footage, yes, and then the vehicle, then they track the vehicle, then they find the vehicle, and there's probably forensic evidence there, and then they take his cell phone, and I'm sure there's Uncle Google so gonna get him, isn't he? Uncle Google's gonna get him, isn't he? Okay, now somebody's saying there's a presser at 5 p.m. Now, who's saying it? Who says it? It flew past. I don't see anything like that. But if there is, as I told you, if there is going to be a press conference, I will most certainly be live for that. And that means we'll have another live stream. So whenever that is, if it's today, if it's 5 minutes from now, which it won't be 5 minutes from now. Let me check the local time. Ohio time now. How about that? Oh, it's almost 4 o'clock. Okay, so
is Ohio Eastern Standard Time or Central?
If there is one, we'll be live. Don't worry. And if there isn't one today, then if there's one tomorrow, we'll be live. Whenever it is, we will be watching that together. Okay? So I will make sure.
I think many murderers are born murderers. There can be cases of a passionate crime. There used to be literally laws of that. It's possible those people maybe didn't have a personality disorder, but I would say most of them do. Most of them do. And someone was saying in the chat also that sometimes people are afraid to go no contact with their abuser completely because they don't want them to go into a rage, or they're afraid this very thing can happen. And yeah, that does happen sometimes. But we don't know which one it was. We don't even know if she was in any contact with him at all. She might not have been. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I do follow it like you guys follow it. I want to know as well. I want to know everything. Also, if I just go here, I didn't show you the map time. I just want to make this a little bit vague. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There you go. So now I can show you the map. I'm not doxing anyone or showing anything that I'm not supposed to be showing. I'm just showing a general distance between 2 points on a map to show you that this ex-husband drove far.
Yeah. So all of this would be an argument for premeditation, right? He drove 7 hours. This is what the prosecution's going to say. They drove 7 hours. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He completely and calculatedly and intentionally murdered them both, left the 2 children as orphans. And for that reason, we recommend, Your Honor, that Michael gets the death penalty. And then they'll say, well, actually, there's a moratorium on the death penalty. So they'll say, well, we want them to get life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Let me just see. Yeah. Okay. From here, let's just go here. Columbus, Ohio. Yes, okay, we're here. Around this 1400 block. Okay. I keep it vague for a reason, everyone. Don't type specific addresses in the chat, okay? YouTube really hates that, and they could take the video right down. So we're not doxing anyone. This is public record that they're in this area. This is where the murders occurred, and this is where there's a homicide investigation. But the couple lived around this area, right? And the husband would have driven 360 miles? The ex-husband, Michael David McKee, would have driven from somewhere around this Chicago, Illinois area here, from close to this Lincoln Park area. Somewhere around there, close to the zoo, somewhere around there. Gotten in, is it a rental vehicle or his vehicle? We don't know. We'll find out still at this point. We don't know. They just said he had the car before and after the murders. You got in your car and drove 5 hours and 38 minutes? Call it 6 hours. And if the murders happened between 2 and 5 a.m., I mean, is he leaving then at 10 o'clock at night or something? 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 2 and 5 a.m., 2 and 5. Something like that. That's hectic. And why that day? And what for? What is going on here? It's terrible, right? Okay, so thank you, Sarah Grabs, for being a member for 9 months. Yes, I've seen that. I don't think it's too relevant at this point. I don't know. I don't want to dig too much like that, you know, but you never know. You never know. But I have seen it. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, Midna says, how did he get in the house and why now? My questions too. How did he get in the house and why now? I would only imagine that he said, I am here. I'm here. Open the door. You know what I mean? They could have opened the door, or that he broke in at the back of the house. Okay, everyone. Now, please remember, it is only right now. I mean, in Ohio, I don't know if they're going to, let's also just make sure here. Hold on. It's at the same time. It's 3 o'clock in Chicago. Is it? A little bit different times of the Ohio. 4-ish. If there's a press conference, we'll watch it together, monitor the pinned comment. I've shared everything that we know so far, you know, that's official, mugshot, what the police have said, all of that so far. And I will keep you posted. I just wanted to bring this to you, this news to you. And I know that we had a premiere planned that's been postponed to tomorrow. So do check that out as well. And maybe we'll be back soon, maybe like within an hour or two, and maybe not. Maybe we'll be back tomorrow or whenever this press conference will be, if there is one.
Then I don't think this is the end of the video. So she was not back. Not back. But that was pretty much it there. We'll keep our eyes on this. I mean, first, there'll probably be an arraignment if he's indicted, right? And then we'll take it from there. Interesting. Very interesting. So that was a new person. I've never watched her before. And I've never watched that guy, Vinny, either. But they're on my list. They're on my list. I mean, this channel now is going over more current events. Current events and interviews now. And sometimes current events is politics. Sometimes it's the ICE shooting. Sometimes it's crime. And sometimes it's like Rob Reiner and addiction stuff. So everything kind of overlaps, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, again, someone said that in Ohio, there's a moratorium on the death penalty. So if that's the case, it's just not going to happen. But if it's on the table, they will probably ask the victims' families. And I don't think they'd be against trying it. But it depends on what their views are on it, though, right? Ah, welcome here, the Kelly. I thought I've seen your name in there before, but perhaps not. But welcome. There's a good flock of black sheep here. I'm almost live every night for the very most part. give or take a day or two each week. Usually, though, it's been 6 days a week recently. But if you're still here, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And originally, I was going to go over more of Nick Reiner stuff tonight, but the fact that this guy was arrested, it got to the top of the list. No, you can't cover these cases willy-nilly. No, we've gone over every case we've gone over. We've gone over hours and hours of footage. I would argue, of all the places talking about it, this is probably one of the more informed places because we listen to everyone or listen to everyone's perspectives on all of these things. Okay, so depending on who's in office next year, he might get it then. Well, we're glad to have you here. We're glad to have you here. Ellie's an OG, and so is Kat here. I saw George. I haven't been seeing Jolly in the chat. I saw her comment the other day, but I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her in the chat. So hopefully I provide enough commentary in all the videos so people don't get mad at me. But we'll break down all the videos, and it's a good way to get, like even yesterday with the ICE thing, we listened to conservatives and we listened to lefties and we listened to ex-law enforcement and we listened to lawyers. We listened to everybody. Disgusting. But all right, guys, that's really all I had for today. So I wish you all a good night, and we're back again tomorrow. Jolly is on special assignment. You got to get on that, George. See where she is. I asked her today where she is. She didn't say. She didn't say where she was. In terms of the ICE shooting, I mean, everyone was always acting like it was so concrete what happened. I don't think we learned anything concrete. Like even from his phone cam, like, oh, that sound means he was definitely hit. It's like, we don't know that. Was that his palm going on the hood? Was it the car grazing him? Wasn't the agent yanking on the door? Was it the car grazing? We just don't. Was the phone falling to the ground? We don't know. We don't know. We know what the defense is going to say, though. The defense is going to say he was in fear for his life, so he had to do what he had to do. And unfortunately, and I guess I say unfortunately, for the people who don't want it to be this way, it's going to be hard to disprove that. It's going to be hard to prove that he wasn't in fear for his life. But as a moral question, I would say, I think there was better ways. There was better ways it could have been handled. You want to use the most extreme force as a last resort. It seems like that's what could have gone down. CB, I told you. I told you. You called her a fucking bitch, right? So, again, I don't think he's going to get legally in trouble, but just as a human, I didn't really like it. I thought it was excessive. And it's just not necessary. It just wasn't necessary. But you believe it. Me saying that, people get mad that I've said that. Like, oh my God, what are you, a radical leftist? Are you listening to the propaganda? It's like, no. I just listen to everyone, and I make up my own mind. That's all. That's all. Whoever the officer, the ICE agent was from yesterday, it seemed like it leaned. If you're in that spot, my first thought would be to get out of the way, not the shooter in the face. To me, that seems reasonable because you got to think about people's priorities. You think a priority for me would be, I don't want to take a life unless it's absolutely necessary. Right? There are times when cops do need to. There are times when it's them or the other person because the other person has a gun and they're trying to shoot them. Yeah, that absolutely happens. I'm not saying it doesn't. And in those cases, I totally get it. This case with the freaking middle-aged mom, though, it just seems not my favorite. Yeah, I mean, Yeah, and B, that was of course hyperbole for Trump to say that, right? He's not like he walked away unscathed, not lucky to be alive. He was unscathed. Like at most, if he was grazed, he might have a bruise. At most. But we don't even know if he has a bruise. I mean, and unfortunately, that's what it is sometimes. The question is, what was going to happen to her if she never drove off? They would have detained her, and I don't know if they have the power to arrest her or what, but she's a U.S. citizen, so I don't know what ICE is going to do to a U.S. citizen. I don't know what the jurisdiction they have is there. So, okay, what are you going to do to a citizen? Hand them over to the police? I don't know. People wanted to believe it, B. People believe what they want to believe. Yeah, it was silly of him to do it, George. The whole thing was just ridiculous. Ridiculous and unnecessary. And none of it is as obvious as a lot of people want to say it is. It's like there's a lot more gray out there. That's what I would say. But all right. That's all I got for today. I was arguing with more people about that today. It's a very passionate topic. But I will see you all. You have a concrete opinion. No amount of gaslighting will confuse me. Well, good. Like, I think I didn't like it. Right? I don't think he's going to get in trouble legally, but I didn't like it. I didn't think it was good. I think it should have been more of a last resort. That's my opinion. They probably should. But I'm not sure they do. I'm not sure what their taser situation is. Doesn't seem like they did. So they went straight to firearm. Which is like, like if you're a friend or family member of that woman, you're probably pretty angry. And you think, like, was that really necessary? And I would say, I don't blame you. And other people will say, well, she should have just stopped. I was like, of course she should have stopped. I think it just gets confusing in that situation when there's guns pointed at you and people shouting at you and you're getting conflicting orders. It gets confusing. And when you're confused, a guy's yanking on your door, you might panic. And you're not always going to think things clearly when you're in that mental state. And when you're not in a good mental state, you're not thinking clearly, you make mistakes. I just don't necessarily think the mistake should have been a death warrant. That's what I think. Yeah, I believe it, Heather. I believe it. And I don't blame them, B. I would yeah. It was unnecessary. Like you don't want that to be happening. You don't want that to be like the go-to. And of course, there's nothing that she really was even doing there. Like, she wasn't successful in her mission. If her mission's to disrupt ICE, what are you doing? Like, what do you really expect to be done? Just protest and do whatever. You're not really going to accomplish anything doing that. So it's just a waste. A waste and frustrating. Nah, they probably won't do that, Tony, because for that very reason. They don't want him to seem guilty at all. Jesse Ventura said, I like Jesse Ventura, said we're officially a third world country now. He's not wrong. Jesse Ventura is pretty down the middle, right? But now a lot of people on the right would say he's a loony because he doesn't like Trump. But I like Jesse Ventura. I've been listening to him for years. I've learned a lot from him over the years. By the way, former governor of Minnesota, the only one that was not a Republican or a Democrat. And the FBI investigated him for it. Because they said, how did you become governor as not a Republican or a Democrat? Pretty fascinating stuff. I would actually like to see Justin or Jesse's thoughts on this matter. But all right, guys. Thanks for keeping everyone company here and going over the videos with me. And I'll be back again tomorrow night.